WWF in your house, Ground Zero. Whew. I don't think there's been a more apropos name for a pay-per-view. I mean, gee willikers, we got the birth of a lot of things on this show. We got some of the most pivotal feuds in wrestling kicking off here. We got major storylines and relationships between characters being formed on this show. We got the setup of the first ever Hell in a Cell match. We got the first and only title shot for one particular fella. And we got the beginnings of a beautiful, beautiful relationship between Brian Pillman and Marlena, which I'm sure will last. I mean, years to come. I don't see any way this could be put to an end, personally. And speaking of loving relationships, come here, you. Hop on in here. It's the Apron Bump Podcast.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started.
What's up, everybody? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a lovely, lovely fall into fall, as they say. Oh boy, I have not. I have felt like I have had minor AIDS for a few weeks, but finally getting over that. But I'll tell you what I am not getting over, and it is the show that we are about to discuss today, WWF in your house, Ground Zero, coming at us from Kentucky, as I pull up the events because I forgot where it was. Ground Zero, 1997. Coming at us from the Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky on September 7th, 1997. We are in a very, very volatile time in professional wrestling. I mean, kind of teased a lot of it there in the beginning, but we got a lot of Ground Zero as a show in a vacuum, and we'll talk about this more in the actual episode. There's a lot there, but there's also not a lot there. There's a lot there if you have the benefit of hindsight, because we got major feuds kicking off here. We got setups of things that are going to just explode in the later half of later quarter, I guess, of 1997 and 1998. We're seeing the seeds not only being planted, but are starting to blossom for the plants or the flowers that are going to lead us into the Attitude Era and just the biggest boom in wrestling history. So this show is a very interesting one. There's a lot of weird stuff. Not all of it's good. Some of it is good, though. So a lot of this caught me by surprise, to be honest, when I looked at the card. It's just a very fascinating show, I guess is how I'll put it. A lot to get into. But the real question is, how has this show affected the hardest promotion battle of 1997? WWF versus WCW versus ECW. Which promotion is currently hardest, aka doing the best so far in 1997? As of this date, September 7th, 1997. Is that the right date? Sure is, Tom. And we'll get all into that at the end of the episode. So we'll talk about the show with my beautiful, beautiful guest. At the end of the show, we will continue along with this hardest promotion battle. It's a whole spreadsheet, a whole scoreboard, scoring system. We'll get into all the nitty gritty of it. But the long and short of it is that we'll get into what has been the best of 1997, what has been the worst of these three companies. We get into, high level stuff like just, best in ring, best out of ring. But we also look at best wrestler, best match, best show, et cetera, and all of the worsts of those same categories. There's points associated to it. We'll create the show as a whole. It's a whole fun hullabaloo, as everybody's saying on the streets. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Whichever company has the most points at the end of the year of 1997 will receive a purchase from myself of a championship belt representative of that winning company. As you can see behind me, we have the old Intercontinental title from the mid-90s, as WWF was hardest in 1996. Who will be hardest in 1997? You'll just have to stay tuned and see. Currently, WCW is in the lead with 29 points, ECW with 25, WWF firmly in the rear with 4 points. But will they make up some ground with this show? We'll just have to wait and see. And maybe I'll have to recruit the help of my guest to make that decision. Jess from Our Wrestling Podcast, OWP. Joining the show today was a great old time with my boy Jess. Go check out the OWP podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Really, really fun stuff they do over there. It's very similar to the Apron Bump, where they do touch on the current product here and there, but they also get into the old school stuff. You can check out old school reviews, retrospectives, really, really fun stuff. Unique take on wrestling over there at OWP. So go check them out. All of their stuff will be in the description. I'll provide a link tree for you to take you to wherever you need for OWP. But with that, also follow me to add Apron Bump on all the social medias, join the Discord, tickle my belly button, spit in my mouth, call me really degrading names, do all of those things. It all supports the algorithm. You have to do all of those things, by the way. I'm gonna quit babbling. Let's get to this program, shall we? WWF In Your House, Ground Zero, 1997, with myself and Jess from Our Wrestling Podcast.
Semi-long day, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, like, transitioning from work talk to, like, let's talk about Brian Pillman molesting Marlena.
Yeah, right? Like, I have to get in this fantasy land, like, before I start talking about wrestling. But I always rely on it, you know? Like, if I have a stressful day, I'm like, I'm just going to go watch an old pay-per-view. I do it often.
Right. Yeah. Now this feels easy. Sometimes podcasts, I'm like a little like anxious, but now it's like, finally, now I can just talk about these midgets wrestling.
Yeah. Some midgets that are clearly trying to mock the cruiserweight division from WCW. Like, I feel like, like Vince does that a lot, right? Like, it was popular on WCW. It was one of the, besides the NWO, it was like one of the foundations of Nitro. And Vince, I know Vince is just like, they want cruiserweights, I'll give them cruiserweights. And he goes on and gets a bunch of midgets.
There, it's Juventude, basically, right?
Well, I wanted to save it for the show, but the
difference... We're recording now.
Oh, perfect.
We'll just hop right into it, yeah.
Yeah, the difference between like the comparison difference is the same of Rey Mysterio taking on anybody, because even Rey looked short next to the rest of the cruiserweights, like with Juventud, and even Malenko had some size on Rey Mysterio. So when I was looking at the mini match, I was like, I mean, in comparison, it looks like Mysterio versus somebody that they would put it in there. So I do not put it past Vince to be, like, oh, you guys like little people? Let's do it. I'll give you little people.
I think Rey Mysterio either did wrestle in the minis division at some point or like almost did, like very early in his career. I mean, if you watch him at like 93, 94, he's like a little child. So
yes, yeah. And I know he started out really young, obviously, because like his whole family was in their blood from an early age.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, I mean, there's a lot to get into with this show, but yeah, man, In Your House, Ground Zero. Did you get a chance to check out this little ditty?
I did. I really enjoy going back to this time period because at the time, I was in my 20s. I was in my early 20s at the time. And the Monday Night Wars were a real thing, and it was a fever pitch. And we were flipping back and forth. That's what we did. We didn't have time to let, I'll just stream that later or watch it later. You were flipping back and forth and just being like, what's going to happen? Who's going to show up? And every time I have to go back and review something like this, it brings me back, and I love it. I just love the feeling of this time period. And what I notice more about the rewatches is I start to see things that at the time I was really caught up in, and Nitro was really stomping them pretty good. WCW was really handing them their, ass every single Monday night, and it looked like the better product. And going back and watching it, I'm now noticing the little flare-ups, the little glimmers of hope. 6 months later, this was a September show. 6 months later, they beat WCW for the first time in 83 weeks. And it's so crazy. What a 6 months, right? From this point all the way through. And they had been building all year, just failing and trying something, failing, little successes here. And we'll talk about it as we get into the show. There's one guy that obviously we all know he became a megastar, the megastar in most people's eyes. But you saw it here, like, man, he was fire here, and he wasn't even wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, arguably the MVP of the show, and he didn't even have a match, which is wild. But no, I completely agree. It's because I've been watching all this stuff chronologically. I've been watching the TV, the Nitros, the Raws and stuff. And it's like, even in hindsight, it's very clear why WCW is winning in the ratings. Like, Nitro is just it's so much like it's a must-see TV show. it's just there's more flavors of wrestling. It's just an easier product to watch. Like you said, WWF, they tried a lot of stuff this year. Not a lot of it worked, but the stuff that worked really worked. And this show here is very interesting because, like, in a vacuum, it's like kind of just an okay show. But there's like so many seeds planted in this show that like you could argue the Attitude Era was birthed on this show. Like we watched a conception right here.
Yes, that's very true.
And
it wasn't, and I can't, if you didn't live through it, unfortunately, a lot of people can just go back now and look at some revisionist history documentaries, and you can get the feel for what the Monday Night War was. But when you lived it and you were going back and forth, it as a fan, you just kind of felt like part of something special. I know that sounds corny, but it was true, and it was really hard to get swept up in Nitro. It really was, and I started watching when I was 10 years old, so I got hooked on WWF early in the late 80s, early 90s. But I felt like I was kind of betraying my first love, like basically like when I was going over to Nitro, but it was really hard not to. I mean, they had everything. Like they had the cruiserweights, they had the big names from when I first got into wrestling. And so, yeah, it's very fun to go back and watch this and just kind of see what I remember being a train wreck in my mind, but then just kind of going, wow, like just months later, like this was not like this. This became it. And you really see the influence of Vince Russo being allowed to help out with creative here. I mean, his fingerprints were all over the show, and his ECW influence and everything. Like you can see it. Vince doing whatever he needed to do at this point. Just, I got to do something, pal. Like he had to do something. I think he was just so desperate, and he's like, whatever you guys want to do. Well, yeah, we'll have matches that make no sense. We'll do 4 ways and 3 ways, and yeah. Like, and he just kind of let them do whatever they wanted, and some of it failed, and other stuff was like, okay, like I see it. I see this really launching off here.
It was throwing stuff at the wall, and the stuff that's stuck. And I mean, you telling me that Vince Russo had something to do with the Indecent Proposal Match?
But I would
Doesn't
say
seem like his style.
If I'm just throwing it out there and throwing it to the wall, see if it sticks, I would say maybe. I don't have concrete proof on that, but probably.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Perhaps.
It's a thought. Yeah.
But also Vince likes that stuff too. I could just see Vince in the background going, yes, totally. Yeah.
Oh, it was a writer's room full of, God damn, that rule. That's a great idea.
Put him in a dress. I love that. Oh, man. I love it.
Goddamn, pal.
Vince Jr., you're my favorite. And he's like, making Cornette and all of them pull their hair out of their heads.
So we got Brian Pillman versus Goldust here opening the show. Goldust, of course, with his wife Marlena, and his at least cage match called it an Indecent Proposal Match. And the stakes to this match, because every match needs stakes. If Brian Pillman loses, he leaves WWF forever, which seems morbid in hindsight. If Brian wins, then he gets Marlena's services for 30 days or 28 days, as it would be. So that's really where we're at here. Brian Pillman, Goldust, they had a match at SummerSlam, and it's like if Brian Pillman lost, he had to wear a dress in his matches, and he had to wear it until he won a match, and then Goldust has costed him matches, so he has to keep wrestling in the dress, and then ultimately Brian snapped. He's like, hey, I want another match, and Goldust is like, nah, I don't think so. But then Pillman's like, hey, your child, Dakota? That's my child. I'm the father. And then this, of course, riles up Goldust. And now we have this match, high stakes. What are your thoughts? There's so much going on here. What are your thoughts on all this?
There was a lot. Also, too, like this is the last pay-per-view match for Brian Pillman because unfortunately, a month later, he would pass. And so it's kind of surreal watching that, just going, man, he ended it like in this feud. Like this was the last thing that people on WWF television saw of Brian Pillman. Yeah. And unfortunately, he was a shell of his former self. Since the accident, he was not the Brian Pillman that I grew up with, and he had to stay. So they did a lot of wear down holds, and really it was just kind of a plodding match. And unfortunately, it's not a fair representation of Pillman or Goldust at all. And I also noticed too that I didn't like Goldust's character humanized the way they did it.
I agree.
when Goldust debuted in 1995, that was like, he was controversial and he pushed the limits, and, you know, crowds would chant not so nice things at him. And, you know, everything was just, and that was totally down Vince's alley, right? Yeah, we're moving the needle. We're doing something crazy. Yeah. And then during the era where you would think the Goldust character would thrive the most, which is, we're getting into the Attitude Era here, it didn't work. And in a weird way, they were trying to make him face and make you sympathize with him. And, you know, because we all do that, you know, when we're just stressed about our lives and our wives and stuff, we put gold paint on and wigs and we parade around the house. And like, it's really weird. And we put our wife on the line so she could go off with another man if I lose. And it's just really weird to me that they tried to humanize the Goldust character and it didn't work. And this should be the era where Goldust is like the guy. Like, you know, he came around way ahead of his time. And then when they got him, they're just like, yeah, no, we're just going to tell you his real name and do a vignette with his face paint off. And, you know, watch
at this point, just take off the face paint and the goofy gold get up and just be the natural at this point.
Yeah. And you already told us who he was in those vignettes, which they were very vignette happy, because this is the same year that Mick Foley had success with that Jim Ross one-on-one interview, and Goldust did one. And, you know, they were very, even
Undertaker has become very humanized here. I think it was during the show, there was like an interview with him where I felt like I was watching his podcast. He was like, goddamn, I don't remember what he was talking about. Something Kane and like, yeah, my past, I've done bad things in the past, goddamn, or however he talks.
Yeah, his little Undertaker twang. I tell you what, man, this is just the best. And I was like, Vince is yelling at him in the headset. He's like, just a little less twang on that. I don't. Please.
Zombies don't have twang.
Let's not go totally crazy here. Like, you guys can't get out of character. Like, everyone's just out of character, which I'll make a note later in the last match, too. I belly laughed at what everybody was wearing when they came down to the ring. And it just made me laugh because I was like, someone gave them that note, and we'll save it for the last match, but someone gave them that note, and I'm like, but stay, keep your mask and your face paint on, please, but just wear regular clothes. It's like, what? Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
We're trying something new. Well. Yeah, we're trying something new here. Just go with it.
Oh,
but it was an okay match. It was a plotting match, and I of course I wish, you know, knowing that this would be like his last pay-per-view match, I want better for Brian Pillman. But Goldust was really wrapped up more in storyline and character development here, and Pillman couldn't perform to his standards, so it was just fine. Like, it was just okay.
Yeah, not flying Brian by any means here. Obviously, all the foot surgeries and all that stuff has lent him to be very kind of clumsily, like, moving around, because he can't really brace on his foot that well. So there was one spot where he's on the top rope, gets thrown to the outside. And normally, if that were to happen, a wrestler would like land on the floor, land on his feet, and then hit the barricade. But he just like went straight, like torso first into the, which made it look better, I guess. But I'm sure it hurt like hell.
I would notice that too about his walking, like that he would not dragging his foot, but I could tell from his early WCW days the way he would walk, and especially when he would get fatigued in a match, he was almost like not stable, like, in a way. And obviously you could see his legs were getting skinnier, and, you know, he's not able to do the same leg work to keep himself in shape. And that, you know, this Impact guy, just the spot that you mentioned, and, you know, his signature when his opponent used to climb the top rope, he would drop kick them in the air as they used to come off, and he used to do it all the time. And you got none of that here. And, you know, I just felt terrible for him because I felt that he had realized his character. The loose cannon character was so innovative and so ahead of its time. Talk about ahead of its time. And he was kind of unable to explore that. I kind of feel like Austin physically did what Pillman wished he could do, because Austin could get stiff and everything. And that was the Austin character. And he was just all grit and doesn't care, and he'll whip your ass. And I think Pillman, with that loose cannon character, wanted to emulate the same. Those two actually had a brief feud, as you know, as well, you know, with that infamous scene. And so I think that's what he really wanted to do. He just couldn't perform anymore. And it was really sad to see.
Man, just a full bore feud between Austin and Pillman would have just been such money. I mean, they got what they did out of it. That Pillman's got a gun thing is like infamous, but like, man, if they had like a series of matches and just, there was so much.
When they separated the Hollywood Blondes in WCW, we got a little match at a Clash of the Champions, which you saw the chemistry those two had together and as opponents. And to your point, I mean, later with them maturing wrestling minds and kind of figuring out better characters, like what they could have done here under the big WWF production machine would have been amazing.
Yeah, super unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, given the circumstances, this match wasn't terrible. I would say it probably exceeded my expectations, given, you know, where Pillman is at. And honestly, I don't even know where Goldust is at. I don't know if he's in the middle of one of his benders or what. But
Yeah, who knows? I think, and also too to the vignettes, like it's trying to get us to sympathize with Dustin here, and then at the end, you found out that dirty Marlena snuck a brick in her purse, and Pillman just outsmarted her, and that's what he did. Is he hits Goldust with it, and the crowd kind of popped, which I thought was awesome. At least they were still in it, and I was just like, and Jerry Lawler later will show it. Oh, there's a brick in here or whatever. I'm like, that dirty Marlena. Are you trying to make us not like her, or I thought we were supposed to sympathize? But then again, I guess we find out later, or I guess. If I'm reading, maybe you know more than me, because unfortunately Pillman left us. Like, I don't know if Marlena was supposed to side with him, because at first she did not want to be with him, obviously. But then, swerve, bro. Russo has to throw in his swerves there. So I couldn't see Marlena not turning on Dustin later and doing it. But I felt like the ending here was cool that Pillman picked up the win, obviously, because you got more skits and stuff out of it of Marlena being forced to be with him. But at the same time, it's like, she was hiding a brick. How dare her? Like,
maybe she just wanted a brick in her purse. Sometimes you need a brick. You gotta carry it around just in case. Who are we to judge?
Just to even her walk out or something like that. She's like, I always lean to the right. I need a brick around my left shoulder.
Yeah, it's weight distribution. Ever heard of it, Dustin? Mind your business. But that's basically it. There's a schmoz. The ref gets knocked down. Pillman grabs the purse from Marlena. Brick inside the purse. Smashes Goldust with it. 1, 2, 3. And then Pillman grabs Marlena immediately, because now she's his property, I guess. Grabs Marlena, drags her to his car, which is parked, behind backstage, and speeds away as Goldust chases. Then he's shown having a temper tantrum later in the locker room, which I guess is warranted. If my significant other was stolen by another man, I'd be pretty peeved.
He's like, I can't believe she brought the brick. That's really what he was upset about, because he lost. He's like, why did you told her to leave the brick at home?
It's all her fault.
She never listened.
She asked for it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Right?
She never listens. I try to tell her.
Yeah, she is. Well, what is she wearing? But yeah, so more to come, I guess, with that. But yeah, the crowd was weirdly into it, though, so I guess it worked to some extent.
And that's kind of my guideline too for these shows in the past. It's like, it's some of these, feuds are just really old and been done to death. It's 2025, Right. But like when I watch back, I'm like, how's the crowd? And if the crowd's into it, I guess it was servicing its point at the time, and it was doing what it needed to do. So people were into it.
It was a precursor to Ray versus Eddie for Dominic. Kind of a similar situation.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe this should have been a ladder match. Thoughts?
That would be, again, can we throw any more ahead of its time stuff at these two? Like, that would just be like, and they were in a ladder match, and it was Pillman's last match, and like, it's crazy. It would just be, and I don't know, like, in all seriousness, I wonder what Pillman would have done with a ladder, like it in his state, like how he could have done it. I think it would have been hard for him to climb it.
He would have Terry funked. He would have just put it around his neck and used it as a weapon.
Oh my gosh,
At him. Oh, I mean.
The spots on the outside, they would have just gotten super creative. Like, we'd be talking a lot about, we copied Brian Pillman rather than we copied, Hall and Michaels. It would be more like, remember Pillman and Goldust? That was awesome.
Right. What could have been? So you on the streets, you're well known for being the resident Scott Putski mark.
Of course.
You're kind of a stan.
Yeah.
If I could say.
Yes.
It's a poster behind. I think that's Scott Putski.
Yeah.
So he's taking on Brian Christopher here in a light heavyweight match. And I'm sure this was tough for you to watch, given your fandom of Mr. Scott Putski.
Yes, and I was really appalled at the way I felt so bad for him. Like, first of all, they're all tan. So Brian Christopher was incredibly tan, but I think that Scott had all of the tan, like that there was to have at that time.
He is comical looking. The tan, chiseled, wet, the hair, all of it. He's like a cartoon character.
And somebody said, "Oh, you're wearing brown and orange with a tan body? That is awesome." And he's like, "Great, because this is what I'm wearing tonight." Right. And they're like, "Absolutely do that." And nothing clashes and it doesn't look weird. And like, I just thought like his color choices and the fact that he was just the most bronze man in the history of the planet, apparently in 1997, was like a bad choice for him. But he got the energy. This was his big moment, right? Like, he was on a pay-per-view.
Yes, finally, it's my time.
And then I just, I never really understood where they were going with it. I mean, they're doing this here by teasing that Jerry Lawler is not Brian's dad. And maybe I'm
Right.
giving a spoiler and I apologize. Yes, Jerry Lawler is Brian Christopher's father, but they kept like, pushing
Allegedly.
pretending it. Yeah. Messing around. And I don't know what that would have eventually done for Brian, though, is my question, or my point is like, I don't know. I get you're associating him with Jerry Lawler, who's majorly over as a heel, and I get that. But then, like, where after that? Like, it's just really weird. They were just gonna. It was like this dynamic between those two. It had nothing to do with an opponent for Brian Christopher. So it was just like it amused Jerry Lawler, and Vince said, "Sure, go ahead and do something with your son." And so off we go. And so it was entertaining because Jerry Lawler always is entertaining when he's on the mic. But I was getting into the match, and then when Putski went outside, I remembered, like, okay, he hurts his knee here. I just remembered it from the day. And then I didn't realize it was catching Brian Christopher, who vaulted over the top rope, and he caught him. Yeah. And then it just got awkward after that. And then Brian goes to pick him up by the hair, and Scott, my favorite wrestler, was like, I can't get up. And what I felt terrible about it was, like, they should have met today. It would have been stopped in a second, right? In today's wrestling. But yeah. Jerry Lawler, they count him out. Jerry Lawler goes over to him and just verbally accosts this man for like 5 minutes while people are surrounding Scott, but not really doing anything. And Scott Putski's like, I believe I read that he tore his quad. So he's laying there not knowing, like, if his wrestling career is over and needing legit medical help. And then everyone's surrounding him, and Lawler's just berating him from the apron next to him while Brian Christopher's up on the apron. And he's just like looking, and the camera keeps panning in, and you can see Scott's face like, dude, like, I'm hurt. Like, I need some help here. And I was convinced that McMahon was turning off his live mic, just going like, make him show it. Because every time the camera was close, you would see Putski like move his hands, almost like someone's telling him, like, we need to show your kneecap and show the injury. And I felt terrible for him because I'm like, just get the guy in the back. He's really hurt. Like, he's legitimately not moving. And I just kept thinking of today's standards. They would not have allowed that to happen. They would have just stopped the match, like, and then ended it and went back. So I don't know if it's better, but I felt really bad for him because Lawler's like, haha, puppies, like standing over him the whole time. And this poor guy's like, I legitimately don't know if I'm going to wrestle again. And Jerry Lawler's just hammering on him verbally, like, just so Brian Christopher can be over. It was kind of creative in the sense of what an audible, right? Like, because this disaster happened, this guy blows his knee out and can't continue. So they did what they could, but I just felt terrible for Scott Putski, my favorite wrestler. Or was his dad my favorite? I can't remember. It gets so murky after a while.
His dad was nobody. Nobody he ever beat. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, how low can you get, really? You have your big moment. You're prepared to be on live on pay-per-view. You're in this angle with Jerry Lawler, kinda, and you just blow your knee out, like, I don't know, 4 minutes into this match, which is super. I know because he didn't react that much. Was it a quad tear? Is that confirmed?
I believe I read that. I'm almost positive that's what I read, but yes, like, it was something on that level.
You would think you'd be like, like he's kind of like on the ground, not making any noise, just kind of like slowly rubbing his knee. So, like, to me, I was like, oh, he's selling the knee. So maybe that's what other people thought. Maybe that's why they were a little slow in the draw to get him, carted out of there or whatever. But yeah, I would imagine they had some sort of like beat down angle prepared for this, and obviously they can't do that. So, like you said, they had to audible, and because the promo from Jerry Lawler felt pretty awkward after the fact. It was like very clear he didn't have anything prepared. He was just kind of off the dome, which with Jerry Lawler is not always the the safest thing. But
right,
But yeah. I mean, the match itself, it was a lot of Brian Christopher pretty much in control before Putski can make his comeback. He gets injured here, and I don't really think he ever came back to WWF after this, as far as I know.
Not that I can remember, too. And to your point about something, I mean, the guy on the lead up on the video package, they pile drove him into a chair, to set up this match. And like, poor Putski's like, this is how it ends. My big dream. Like, I got my brown and orange tights on. I really made sure I tanned up this bod. And then and at first I thought maybe he dislocated his kneecap. That's what Vince was trying to sell on, the commentary. Yes. It's like, oh, his kneecap is just way high on his leg. But then I read later, I'm almost positive it was a torn quad. Like, that's what he did. But you're right. Like, he was just laying there just mildly uncomfortable, just sort of like, this stinks. Like, instead of like, I don't. Yeah. He's all, shucks, like just laying there, like with his knee, like on fire, like, and he's like, just kind of rubbing it and taking direction well. Cause I know they were telling him like, Vince just move your arms so the camera can get it. And he's like, okay. Yeah. He's like posing.
It's like a big lump on his leg. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, I felt bad for him. I mean, I don't know what kind of again, like Vince just with his um lightweight matches didn't know how to capture the magic that WCW was doing over on the other channel with the cruiserweights, and he would try, but like then he would load it with, you know, let's put Jerry Lawler with them and let's just make kind of a big thing of this. And like I felt terrible because we could have had a pretty good lightweight match, because, you know, Brian back here was pretty good, you know, and we don't all know he would become way more charismatic later, and he was over the top here, but like he was a pretty good wrestler. He wasn't a bad hand, but I was looking forward to seeing a good match. But right when it started, I was like, oh, poor Pusky's gonna have it all ending really soon for him.
Yeah, the lightweight division is really weird, especially in this era, because it feels like they're just using the same template they use for everything else, just with people that happen to be 215 or below. Like it's not really a cruiserweight style. Like if you see like Psychosis and Juventud, like it's completely different than like a DDP versus Jeff Jarrett match. Like it just felt like very much a standard match of just smaller guys. It feels like they were always hesitant to really commit. I say that when the next match is. Or a couple matches down the line.
He committed all right.
Their attempt at committing to that style. But
you actually bring up a really good point. You know, I could never really pinpoint it, but I think that is the glaring difference. Was Vince always just wanted to bring two wrestlers in, give them characters, because that's just what WWF does, is they go over the top with their characters and their storylines, and then have just a regular match. The flavor that Bischoff brought over to WCW was, we didn't know it as American wrestling fans unless you were really into wrestling. You were seeing lucha style, you were seeing a bunch of different stuff, and they had Mike Tenay every week telling us what it was. So yeah, we did fall in love with Mysterio and Guerrero early on and everything, but we fell in love with the style, and I think that was the ultimate definition of the cruiserweight. And to your point, like Vince didn't think that. He didn't understand that. He was just like, they're guys that are below a certain number, so they're lightweights. Go do your thing. And Jerry, get on the mic and make me laugh. And that's just basically what his answer was for everything back here. Even when they brought in Taka later on, like it was just like he was able to do some of his stuff, but Vince never allowed like his promotion to define, this division does this for us, and this is why you should watch this. And we got that from WCW, and Vince was just trying here again. Like, you know, I don't think Vince ever got light heavyweight or cruiserweight division right. Like, I think it was always like this thing for him where he's like, somebody else take care of it. Pritchard, what are you doing? Go do the things, the guys, go do them. Like, and yeah, Matt Hardy, you want to be, go ahead. Like, and I think that he always kind of, whatever, guys, geez, get out of here. Like, I think he was always just so like, I don't care. Like, I want the big giants. I want the big, larger than life characters. I mean, that's been his MO, like the whole time he was running that place.
Throw it on the pre-show, maybe throw it on the, in the middle somewhere if we need a let up. But yeah, they never really went all in. Yeah, and you make a good point about the dynamic between Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher. I don't know why they didn't just go full in nepotism here. I feel like that would have been a good heat-filled angle. Like,
oh my gosh,
that's why I'm here. My daddy's here, and I'm gonna be the new king. Call him the king, Brian Christopher. You know?
Yeah, if anybody would get that over, it would be Jerry. Like, you know, that what a great idea. That's like perfectly great. Like, but instead they were just like, what are you talking about? Like, it was like Honky when he first came in, and they were like, you're like Elvis. He's like, Elvis who? Like, that's funny a couple times, but then after a while you're like, okay, like you're really beating it into our head that he is your son, but you will not say it. And like, it just never materialized. It was, where were they going? You know, but that would, to your point, that would be fantastic. Like the whole, just, I'm the king of Memphis now. This is my dad. And, you know, I'm more talented than anybody here, but you know what? Like my daddy says I can come in here, so I'm coming, you know. It's just more of like that. Just, you would want to hate that man. Like every time he came in there, it'd be like, you suck. And you're only here because of your dad. Like you're only here because of this and that. Like it would just work out so much better than just like, he's not my son. Like, are you sure? And then, you know, with JR and, you know, Vince, and Vince's announcer voice, I loved it, by the way, because Vince behind the scenes is gravelly, but out back here, he's like, huh? What? Huh? Like on everything that Vince does. Yeah, later when he developed the Mr. McMahon character, he had that gravel, but back here, he was like, oh no, like just on this upper level with his voice and trying to sell his own product. You know, it's like every boss that's like, move, I'll show you how to do it, because he was getting kicked in the dirt for months, you know, from WCW here. So he's like, get out of my way. I'll show you guys how it's done. I'll sell my product.
Yeah, thankfully, we're towards the end of Vince's tenure on commentary, and we get a little spark of why that is, I guess, on this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brian Christopher wins, yada, yada, yada. I guess it ends up working out for him with Too Cool. I don't think he had that same success with Too Sexy, as he was called here, and then I think the tag team would be called Too Much after, and then Too Cool. So it's very interesting progression. Very interesting. Well, WWF, they might not have a great light heavyweight division, but what they do have is gang warfare. Come on now. Which gang are you in? You a Boricua Nation member, DOA?
I got to say the Nation. I think the Nation was the original. It always kind of stuck with me.
guess.
I was never like, I understood what they were all trying to do, like with this, but I never got on the Los Boricua side or anything like that, or the bikers. I was like, I'm just Nation.
Yeah, the hairy Boricua. What was his name? Manny or something?
It was Manny. Yeah. Oh, I can't remember his last name. That was a
Fernandez.
sight, and they blew an opportunity. No dolls with hair all over it. No teddy bear. Like they could have just really raked in the cash with him by making some kind of hairy like toy.
Kids all over the world would
just having
had hairy bodies. Yeah, it would have been
chanting Manny's name. Like it just we're putting him in the Hall of Fame in 2026. Like that could all be, but no, it was not meant to be.
Is he still around? It's never too late. Never too late. But we have Savio Vega versus Crush versus Farouk in a triple threat match. And my question, I meant to look this up. Is this the first ever triple threat match?
Televised, because I don't want to say yes because they probably experimented with it on a house show or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, televised. Doing my research, I did read that it was, and this is kind of what I was referencing earlier about the ECW influence. Their first pay-per-view, which was earlier this year. I can't remember what month it was. Was it May? Is when they did their first pay-per-view.
April, I think. So somewhere in there, yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, it was Stevie Richards, Funk, and Sandman in the triple threat for the title, that main event of that show. So they had done, and of course their shows before it were littered with 3-ways and 4-ways. And so this was the influence that I was speaking of, that Russo. And then I don't know how into it Shane McMahon was back here, but Shane McMahon was also a very big ECW guy. So they were always trying to tell Vince, like, come on, like just at least look at what they're doing. And Vince, we found out later that he was floating money to Paul. And, to keep ECW afloat. And so it's like, it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing it here. I kind of just wish that they would have chosen 3 different people. And I know that Savio Vega is a good worker. And I know that Ron Simmons is Ron Simmons. And he's very respected. And he's a great brawler and everything. And Crush's real name is Brian Adams. But other than that, like...
How dare you?
I know, right?
And Crush is also here.
Attacking Crush for no reason. But like, they were very clunky in this match. And it was like, you put this concept that your audience, the WWF audience, is not familiar with at all. And then you put, Savio, Crush, and Farouk, so famous for all of their triple threats they've done throughout their career. Like, and you throw them in there. I mean, to kind of poop on my point, like, I don't know who would have been, I'm sure like Sean and Brett and somebody else would have figured out how to make it great. But I mean, these 3, like, you just take the concept of, it's gang warfare and they're all just going to clash. And there was points in the match where like Crush was just walking around, like just adjusting his hair while like Farouk and Savio would go at it. And then he would just casually pull Farouk off. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to tease like 2 of them teaming up on the third one and then trying to throw the other one out, but it just never quite like clicked. Am I wrong on that? Yeah. Like, I just kind of felt like there was a lot of like, I don't want to use the B word because I think that's kind of bad sometimes, but they were missed spots. Let's just say there was a neck breaking spot that Savio went for and Farouk went one way and he went the other. And I was like, man, like
belly laughed. I don't know what it was. I was like, I'm watching this. I'm like, swinging neck breaker on the way. And then he does it and Farouk just goes the opposite way.
Yeah. Even we saw it coming. We're just like, oh, that's a neck breaker like all day long. And then Farouk's like, I'm going left. And Savio's like, well, I was going to go right. And they did exactly what they said they were going to do.
It was a Puerto Rican neck breaker, I think. It's a little different.
And Crush was standing there like, looks fine to me. Like, I don't know. Nothing looked bad to me. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it never clicked. And like, it was just sort of, and even JR said it. I noted it here too. Like even JR was like, this can go all night unless the third man gets out. Like he was trying to help everybody out. Like just if the third person would just somehow get neutralized, if you catch my drift, like he's just trying to float like hints out there. And Vince is like, what do you mean? I don't know. Who, what's a 3-way? And everyone's like, you know what a 3-way is, Vince, come on. But like the whole time I was just like, can we end this please? And I don't like saying that about like, like Farouk, Crush, or Savio. Like they're fine for who they are. Just they were sort of like in a no-win situation here. Another area here where they were like, well, the storyline's going to carry us through. It's fine. Like we don't need to make sense with the rules or have 3 capable workers in there. Like get this concept over. We'll just they're gang members. They want to fight. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like I get, it's whatever. The bikers versus the Puerto Ricans versus the Nation. Like it's whatever. You could see why they're aligned with each other. You get it. It's gang warfare. But ultimately, like, who am I supposed to root for in this? Now, it seems like Kentucky is all for DOA.
Oh, Crush could do no wrong.
Get them. Rum, rum, rum. The bike comes out. They love Crush. Love Crush.
Like Road Wild, you just see them like, how do Harleys get in here? Like they're all bringing their bikes in. How did this happen? You heard the pop for the heart punch, man. Like they were all over it. Like whenever he did they were just like, Crush is our guy.
Nobody's ever reacted to Crush that way in his life.
He was shocked. Like you saw Crush, he's like it just touched him. He just had to sit back for a minute. Took a moment.
Are they looking at something else happening in the crowd? Something must be
Crush crying, and he's like, I think he is. He's like, of all these years, I finally get over.
Crushed is crushed.
And then Savio Vega crushes his hopes with a back spinning kick.
Man, yeah. I mean, this entire match is sloppy. I mean, but it's early 3-ways. The concept is still very new, so I can like kind of understand. Like nowadays, it's like, yeah, one guy gets knocked out, and then 2 people fight in the ring, and it's kind of you work in spots here and there. Like you mentioned, this is pretty much just a series of like 2 of them working together to beat up on the third, and then it kind of like switches back and forth for no real reason. There's no real continuity to this match. It's just kind of just 3, like an over the hill Farouk, over the hill Savio, and then Crush, he never found the hill. And then if this was like a Caribbean strap match, this might have been good because that's the only match Savio does that is good. But yeah, I think they should have just been like, hey, you know what? 4 on 4 on 4 street fight. Let's just send them all out there. Let's have a chaotic thing, and then that be the thing.
And ECW was such a niche product, such a small amount of people even saw like what ECW was doing back here and saw like what a 3-way is. The only other 3-way that I can name was Starrcade 95, where Sting, Luger, and Flair, but they tagged in and out. So it was like a totally different concept with that, and just as boring. Right. But I just thought, this, to your point, like you said too, there was just a lot of clunky stuff here. They just like, it just didn't get out. I don't know what they were hoping for. Maybe at this point, like I think Vince always looked past it. He's like, just get the story going. We'll do whatever. Right. Nobody, I think, cares if this match doesn't go over well. It's the main event.
Movies, pal.
Yeah, it's the big matches that I need to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, the story's there. Like the Nation, they have, I think it was 2 weeks before this, maybe 3. They replaced Ahmed Johnson with a little gentleman named Rocky Maivia. So we are fresh off of that. The Bariquas, they're stealing bikes. So that's what they're doing. And Crush,
who peed on the bikes?
Oh, I don't know. That sounds like a Savio move.
Or maybe it's a totally different movie I'm thinking about. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe I'm getting my fantasies mixed up.
I think, didn't John Cena pee on Undertaker's bike?
Maybe it's that. I just remember somebody peeing on someone's bike and then them coming out doing the classic, like, what? Who did this? And like the whole big thing. And I don't know why I thought maybe it was like between the Los Boricuas and the Chain Gang and all that.
Very well could have been, yeah. Don't know. By the way, in the vignettes leading up to this match, Crush says that he's going to drive his bike up their asses. What do you think that means?
Up their asses. That's got to be some kind of dive bar, right?
Up their asses.
Yeah. So he was going to drive it to the dive bar. What? Like I felt like, but
possibly, yeah. I never really considered that.
But and it's hilarious because there's been a huge history of pro wrestlers like just getting all worked up on the mic and then saying something like that. Like, I'm going to eat your ass. I'm like, listen, you knew that was bad. You knew that was bad before it even came out of your mouth. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, Crush practiced that. Like, just and then I'm gonna say, I'm gonna drive it up their ass. Like, what?
He's in the mirror. I'm gonna drive it up your asses. Oh, that's good.
He's like different deliveries. He's like, no. I'm going to drive it up your ass. No, that's too direct. I gotta.
You're giving me a lot of good sound bites. I appreciate that. Now it's just, I own it now. I can make you say anything.
Yeah, listen, I donated it. I gave it.
But yes, Crush wins with the aforementioned heart punch. Or no, sorry, he does not win. He hits the heart punch on Farouk Savio. Then with the spinning kick to Crush, picks the bones. And gets the 1, 2, 3. So Bariquas reigns supreme. On delay. Am I right, folks?
In the first ever WWF televised triple threat match, whatever that means. Whatever that's worth.
I mean, they had like the card, like the screen, like here are the rules of a triple threat match. First fall, it was like, wow. I guess it was a novel thing at some point.
Yeah.
But man, I'll tell you what is also chaotic, but is a little better. We got the minis division. I think they called it. I don't remember. Max Mini versus El Torito. Not that El Torito. Not what was the fucking tag? The Primo and Epico. What was their Los Matadores?
Yes, yeah.
Not that one. Not that one. A much bigger.
A much bigger. There's no way this wasn't a 10-year-old child like under that mask, because I was like, he was almost as tall as the ref, and I'm like, that's a child. Like there's not even a mini person. Like that's just a flat out child. Like
I mean, he's a beefy boy though.
He was almost as big as the ref. Like I was like, is he legally a little person? Like is this not fair? Like are we?
I mean, he's a chunky guy. Maybe he might as well call him El Dorito. Thanks.
Very good. Very nice.
Then Max Mini is 86 pounds. My goodness. Coming out here in like a yellow and blue jumpsuit of some sort with the mask, and he's got the glasses on his mask. Like what's his dick? WCW.
Oh, Super Callow.
Super Callow. Super Callow.
Yeah.
This guy. So he's just Callow here, I guess. No super. But Torito comes out. Course means little bull, so he has the horns. He had a pretty sick look. El Torito.
Yeah, he was
pretty
very
intense looking guy. I mean, at this point, match of the night. That just like immediate fireworks to this match, and it was fast paced because how couldn't it be? Max Mini with this 86-pound guy just doing the head scissors and the planches to the outside, biting each other. I quite enjoyed this. What'd you think about it?
I was just like you. So they first got into it, and I'm like, all right, like it's a minis match, it's fine. And then instantly I was like, oh. And then when he did the planche over the top rope and almost ended himself like on the outside, I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like I did not remember the minis division packing so much heat, like and bringing all this action. Maybe Vince was onto something. But like, yeah, it's like, it was crazy. Then I just got really into it, and I was like, that was really good. Like that was just really like, it made me smile the whole time. Like there was a couple times where I was feeling bad for Max Mini. I was like, come on, man, you can do it. And like, it just, it was awesome. It worked. It just clicked completely.
Yeah, various companies, like I think even WWF, they tried it a few times. WCW, I think, also tried it. Like having a minis division. Like, do you think there was any like potential in that, like long term? Because even this, like thrown in the middle of a card, like it's fun, it's entertaining. I'm sure you can create stories out of it. Like, I feel like maybe it's something that wasn't taken advantage of as much as it could have been.
I think in another company's hands, probably with all the things that WWF could do right, like with their machine, and to give Vince credit, he knew like what kind of would probably get the crowd interested, or that would probably work. I think Vince never thought of it like to go beyond that, because you're right. Was it later this year or in '98 where there was like mini Vader, mini Mankind, like right. There was just mini. I think it
was '98.
Yeah, mini superstars. That's what he didn't want to think past anything to complicate it. Whereas to your point, if they would actually sell it like a division, like I don't like to keep going back to it, but WCW's Cruiserweight division, like if they would sell it as a division, and this is serious, they compete seriously in it. Vince was just like, if I get a belly laugh out of this, let me tell you, this will be great. And let's he looks like Vader. Put a Vader costume on him. I guarantee you, like he marched mini Vader around, made him stand next to the real Vader, and belly laughed and pointed, like in the back. I'm sure that's all Vince did this for. But like, yeah, to your point, if they would have done a serious division, like they're doing with the women's, and they've been doing with the women's division now for the last decade, it's serious. And if you tell me that it's serious, yes, I might laugh at some of the little antics that, Vince will have many people do. But if it's serious and they're competing and, I'm getting into characters, it would work. Of course it would. But I don't know if Vince was ever, he didn't care. If anything was beneath Vince, it's almost like it was so telegraphed that he doesn't care like about this. He's like, that's right. A pet project I'm giving Patterson. Come here, do something with these minis, get him out. Like, and I just feel like after a while, I got to go talk to Austin. That's his big bread and butter. I think Brett and Sean are fighting again. Let me go break this up. And then he had to go take care of all that. Whereas like he would just be like, you guys take care of this. And oh, great. We'll put him on the card. That's awesome. Yeah, great. Oh, Max Mini, just what an athlete. Like, and he just kind of, I don't know. Yeah. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, I don't know Vince personally, or I didn't work there, but I feel that Vince has always worn that on his sleeve. And when he telegraphs something he doesn't like, it's everywhere. Like you could just kind of tell that, yeah, Vince didn't care about this.
Yeah. I mean, it's well known that he's prone to, giving up on stuff pretty quickly. And I agree. I think, this will be funny. Have the little people out there, and then he just kind of forgets about it. It's probably ultimately all it is. But
Because what a one-sided thing. It just, then eventually it's just like, well, what do you want to do with them, Vince? Like, we've kind of put some money into them and we want to keep them on the card. Make them mini everybody else's. Yeah. Just make them small Vader, small Mankind. Get it? Oh, this is going to be great. Like, and it's, yeah. And they're like, fine. Okay, Vince. He's like, just take a 10-minute segment on Raw. I don't care. Like, I think that's like what it eventually became. It was never a focus point.
Yeah. It's a hallmark of the Attitude Era, is trying a lot of wacky stuff like that. But I mean, this match, again, fantastic stuff. Torito, the much bigger Mini, just like watching Max Mini, the smaller guy, he'll like springboard in, do a flip, get in the ring, and then Torito will just boot him. And just the way Mini just bumps, he just falls immediately prone to the mat. Was just so violent.
He's dead weight. Like, he would just flop like a sandbag. Like, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't think he's alive anymore. And then he would move. I'm like, oh, like, I thought,
because the distance from standing to falling is so quick. It just feels so abrupt.
Yeah, like, how can you prep for that? Like, he just like tumbles really fast. Like, it's like he's like a blur when he falls.
I mean, the lariat that Torito hit sent him into orbit. He's doing power bombs. A monster.
And I'm a sucker for a good big man versus little man match. Like, some people don't like it, but like over on the other channel, I think a couple years later when Nash took on Mysterio in that brief little feud, like, I just was I was all for it. I mean, because Ray, of course, knew my ultimate job is to bump and take the biggest jackhammer I've ever taken in my life. But like, I just always pop for stuff like that. If you do a really good big man versus little man match, it's hard to not get me into it. And to your point, like on a smaller scale, maybe pun intended, like this is exactly that. It was like they just played on it. They're like, yeah, they're minis, but at the same time, like, he's obviously much bigger than this guy. So let's do that dynamic. And it works all the time. And like you said, those cutoff moves were just quick and violent, and that's my favorite. Like, just to stop the crowd dead in its tracks and start, clapping for Max and trying to get him up. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, they ended up crafting a pretty good match, because after all that heat that Torito got, Max makes his comeback. He's doing a Sai moonsaults to the outside. A flying Hurricane off the top rope, and ultimately wins with a sunset flip. So the 86-pounder, Max Mini, gets the win here. And good match, good fun.
Can you also imagine like a Mini's World Championship would be so cute? Like, it would just be this little, like, and the ref would have to hand it off.
I think it should be just like the same size as the other title, so they have to be like, you have to like pull it on the drag it on the floor.
Big gold belt, and he's like pulling it. Vince is like, I bought that from WCW. Drag it around, like, and makes him take it to the airports. He's just dragging this big ass belt.
Make it AEW title size. Just they have to ride it, put wheels on it. Man, what could have been?
Oh, that's great. What could have been? Vince, you really blew it.
Well, speaking of Vince and speaking of titles, we got a couple of blokes dropping some titles here, relinquishing the tag team titles. Your current tag team champions, Dude Love and Stone Cold Steve Austin, have to relinquish the tag team titles due to Stone Cold's neck injury. Of course, we are fresh off of SummerSlam, fresh off of Austin landing on his neck. And he's still walking around, and he seems, I don't know, he's moving around pretty well for a guy with a broken neck or jacked up neck, whatever the situation is. But he's not clear to compete, so they have to drop the tag team titles. You got Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter in the ring, which is a new development, which is interesting. And you got Slaughter and Jim Ross in the ring. Jim Ross is pretty much the mouthpiece here, with Slaughter is here to supervise. I don't know. But what did you think? I guess, what did you think of Slaughter as the commissioner, if you have any memories?
Slaughter, like, he sweat standing still. Like, Austin could be wet because, he probably dumped water over his head, or they use baby oil, whatever they do. But like, I'm watching Slaughter's just stand there, and I'm watching just sweat beads go, like, just pouring down the side of his face. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you sweating? Like, just standing there. Like, you're
it's
not
the pressure of being the commissioner. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't know.
It's not like he was going to get stunned later. He had already been stunned, I think, at this point, right? I think they started with Slaughter, if I'm not mistaken.
So, yeah.
But I loved this segment, and I completely forgot that Austin was tag team champions with Dude Love when he got dropped on his head and when he had to step back from active competition. And that was my first note here. For a guy who they need to take off the road, and a guy that they need to be careful because he severely injured his neck, his finishing move is falling on his ass, compacting his own spine. Like I was like, and he's stunnering everybody here. Like, and I was just like, dude, he's got a hurt neck. And so either, I mean, obviously they knew at this point, like it's not going to be career threatening. Like we're going to get him back soon, obviously, because the seeds are planted later too. But still, I mean, just still, like it's like you should be careful. However, I guess what other move would have gotten him over than the stunner? Like what else could they have done? If again, in today's wrestling environment, if an injury happens like that, he's off TV for X amount of months until he heals, you know, like, and then he's got to pass all these tests. Back here, Vince is like, just rub some dirt on it and you'll get like 2 weeks off. And then, but I still want you to stunner everybody in sight. Like, and he's all right. Like, so I just think I don't like the fact that it shortened his career, but I think that this was the best thing to absolutely happen to Austin's career. And I know that's so hard to say because he could imagine a healthy Austin taking on, you know, like all the people that he took on as champion, but like being able to be the Austin of old. And it really sucks. However, he would not have built that heat. Like if he never got dropped on his head, he would have had a great Intercontinental Championship run. Him and The Rock's feud would have been just as good. But at the same time, like Vince probably would have bled it out more. Like Austin probably would have went into WrestleMania 14 as the Intercontinental Champion. If you think about it like that, like, I don't know. He would have been over, but I don't know if he would have been white hot over, like what we're seeing here in a non-wrestling capacity. I mean, like poor Jim Ross. And I wonder what sound Jim Ross made in his ear when Austin dropped him on the stunner. Like, was it like a, like just like a, or did he,
I think you nailed it.
Like, you don't know, like it just kind of like a cushion being exposed, or did he just break winds? Like, yeah. It was how Austin, that was rough. Like just as he falls, crumples to the floor. I apologize, Austin.
Steve, why'd you do that?
I broke wind. I apologize. I did not. But so, yeah, I thought it was awesome. And then like just Austin's really quick, like he's saying a line of dialogue and then it's just a fast kick to the stomach and a stunner is always my favorite, like thing that Austin did or whatever. And the crowd, you could tell they'd never seen this before. Like announcers didn't really, until Bischoff got powerbombed through the table, they never, like announcers really never got touched. And to start seeing this stuff, and then obviously 3 weeks later they have the Raw and MSG where Vince takes one, and it was just sort of like it was this amazing buildup. Like talk about storyline, talk about what I was talking about earlier, what works and what was like. I go back and watch, I'm like, look at that. The crowd was already cheering for him where he came down, but they wanted to see that guy, that rattlesnake, to strike out and just make a huge impact. And he did it. And then the crowd went crazy and they got louder for him as the night went on. Later, we'll talk about it. It's just so amazing to watch him like develop. And it like I said, on one hand, it sucks that his career was cut short because ultimately the neck injury just never stopped bothering him. And he did have surgery, but it's just time was ticking at that point. But at the same time, like I don't know if he would have gotten as white hot as he was without being forced out of the ring and developing the feud with Vince and having Vince to play off of. I don't know. He would have been over, no question. Like Austin would have been a megastar still, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but I just, without it happening, without them pausing with him for this month, like, and having him just do stuff like in the ring with announcers, I don't know what kind of Austin we would have saw. Obviously he would have still been phenomenal because he was great on the mic and he looked awesome.
Right.
But I don't know, like what a moment, right? Like, what an amazing moment this was. And it wasn't even the Vince stunner. It was just like Jim Ross getting it. And the crowd, I loved watching some of the people and they're putting their hands up like this, like on their heads. Cause they're like, I've never seen this before. This guy doesn't care. Yeah. He doesn't care. He's just, anyone's a victim. Heel or face, it doesn't matter. Announcer, referee, it doesn't matter. Like Austin will get you if you, and he hated to be patronized. It was like, we just want you to heal and get better. And Austin's like, that's it. Like, and Austin never liked to be like coddled. It just really bothered him.
JR was being nothing but kind to him. Like, Steve, we're sorry about your neck. We hope you convalesce and come back to the ring real soon. And Stone Cold's literally like, don't look at me like that, you fat piece of shit.
He called him a fat ass. He actually thought, he's like, what are you going to say, you fat ass? And JR's like, come on, man. I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to watching my weight here. I don't understand like why I'm taking all this.
They did an interview on Raw. I think it was the week before this, where Steve's basically talking about the injury and how it's affected him and whatnot. JR's moderator, he's the interviewee. He's like off camera and you see Steve. Steve's going on this rant. He's like, God damn it, I'm Steve Austin. I'm going to come back. Don't rub your nose while I'm talking. Anyways, like he stops. Like, I don't like the way you're looking at me. Like, don't smile, you piece of shit.
Just harassing JR for no reason, which is great. Like, it's great fun. But poor JR's like, we didn't talk about that beforehand, Steve. I didn't know you were going to call me a fat ass.
Well, geez, Steve, that kind of hurts. You know?
Sometimes a man has to scratch his nose. Sorry, but yeah, that's what made him. And it was really weird because WCW got over just letting everybody call themselves by their original name, because it just got crazy after a while in WCW. They're just like, Ken Johnson. There you go. That's your name. That's your real name. So that's awesome. But
I'm not a fish. I'm a man.
You can. Oh, I love you, Tenta. You saw it here and you saw it work the WWF way, whereas WCW did it a different way. Here, you could see that formula that Vince Russo and Vince McMahon, to his credit, because Vince McMahon obviously was super hands-on with Austin, as he should be, and so was Patterson, and so was everybody else. And again, as they all should be, because they felt it. They're like, this guy is radiating this electricity, and we haven't had it here in a long time. And my God, we need this, because we're getting beaten down like every week. And, it's like you just nose down and care about your own product, right? And move forward. And they were doing that with Austin here. And it really was awesome to see. And I was smiling, even though I knew it was coming, the stunner, and I loved the touch too, of them staying with the action while Jim Ross was being helped out. I know, at first I was like, wow, they're staying on it too long. And I'm like, that was really smart to do, because it gives you more of this is real. This guy is unhinged. You do not compliment him and tell him that you hope he's okay, because he will stun your ass. And do not scratch your nose. Do not look a little fat. He will attack you. And I loved it, because as they're carting JR out, and it was just kind of somber, and McMahon's just barely muttering things, and it just was awesome. And I love that's the WWF cherry on the top. When they do stuff like that, they could have easily stunned him, watch Austin get on the top rope and then went into another vignette or something, and they didn't, or advertise Austin's damn videotape. But they didn't. They just let Jim Ross just get helped out, in this is his worst moment ever. Oh no, he got lit on fire. Never mind, this wasn't his worst moment.
Arguably worse. Yeah. You put it that way.
So I love this segment. What a great, you kind of forget that there was no match involved, because there was so much for us to smile at and go, wow, that was awesome. And what a build here. And stupid Slaughter. And then Slaughter's on the outside of the ring, and everyone starts chanting Slaughter sucks, which I loved. It made me laugh too. Cause they're just
Austin throws the belt at his feet. Yeah, there, give me 20. You son of a bitch.
And I didn't even pay attention. Did Mankind just sort of fade into the bushes like Homer Simpson on that meme? I didn't really realize where he went. Usually
he was kind of trying to Austin stunned JR, and dude loves he's trying to hold him back and stuff. Oh, no more. So he's kind of the straight man of this.
He knew better, and that's good, right? Because Foley always knew where to be, and what to do. And so I just, in my mind, as I'm making these notes and playing this all in my head, I'm like, where did Foley go? He's just hanging out, he's watching it, just with his legs crossed on the chair, watching it, enjoying everything
with his knees.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, it's a fun segment, but I think it's really significant, because this is the first time you hear that Vince McMahon, that Mr. McMahon voice, because up to this point he's just been a commentator. It's been alluded that he's owns the company. It's kind of well known, but he's kind of stayed out of storylines up to this point. When Austin stuns JR, you hear that, what's the matter with him? That Jesus Christ, that's out of it. That's the first time that's ever happened. So this is really, in a lot of ways, the birth of probably the biggest feud in professional wrestling history at this segment here. So,
and arguably, the greatest heel in wrestling history, to be fair, he was in the ring with everybody else and probably looked more jacked than everybody else at the time too. So he just, I don't know what it was. And it's so funny because it's so natural, because everybody's like, well, Vince is kind of like that anyway. So it's when he started acting like himself, people are like, there it is. That's the guy.
He calls him a jackass on commentary later. It's just, man, we're off to the races with this.
When do you remember when was the first time that we were told on screen that he was the owner? I know people have always made jokes. Even Ventura back in the day would always be like, you don't own the place, McMahon. Jack Tunney's our president. And I laugh now because I'm like, oh, Vince does own it. Right. But I don't remember exactly when he did. Was it after he got stunned or when he got stunned? I
don't think to this point they have really, not directly. It must be after, or maybe it's in that segment somewhere.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I was like, man, it's got to be close. And then because I remember distinctly them saying he owns the company, and he even said something I don't like to talk about it, mainly because we're getting our ass kicked by the competitions. I don't want to admit I own this.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, it's not my fault. It's everybody else's. It's Brett's.
But yeah, good stuff there. So tag team titles are vacant. We will decide those here in a moment. Before that, we get a little Owen Hart British Bulldog promo. And I only noted this because it was an uncharacteristically great promo by Owen Hart. Like, because he's obviously the guy that dropped Austin on his head. Austin beat him for the IC title. And Owen's like, Jim Ross, he's a great friend of mine. We broke bread together. Austin, he should not only be stripped of the IC Intercontinental title, but he should be in jail. Like, he's just going off. It's like, oh, damn, this is a pretty good.
That's a great,
promo.
That is a low-key great Owen impression, by the way, because that was his cadence and just the way,
my brother Brett.
We broke bread, and like it's amazing. Like it's funny, like he gets a lot of, there's a lot of memes now of him always having snot on the side of his face or doing something Owen-y, like, you know what I mean? But like really, like I know people do praise him, but I think he deserves more. I think Owen was like really great, and not just in the ring, but when he was his little chicken shit heel character, like he was dead on to your point about this promo too, and he was really hilarious. But like he was so good in the ring that I did believe him sometimes, like, well, he could still win this. And that was the great thing about Owen is it wasn't like a Kurt Angle, like where he could be funny, but he was a real legit, wrestler, so he could hurt you. Owen was like, he looked great when he performed. So you knew, oh no, he could wrestle. Like that missile drop kick and everything else that came with Owen was awesome. And then when he gave a great heel promo, which is just ridiculous, like we broke bread and all that stuff. It's like, oh my God, like you're just rolling your eyes in the best way possible because you're like, oh man, Austin's gonna kick your ass like when he gets you. And that's the feeling that I got even watching that promo again, just going like, oh, you have no idea what's coming, Owen. Like that. What a great. I love watching these two and getting lost again, like that's the best part. Because after you get older than your teenage years, right, you have to make a distinct decision in life, I believe. Like, am I still going to like pro wrestling into my 20s and 30s and 40s? Like, and why would I? And, I just love like the behind the scenes stuff, but I also love when somebody does their job right. And even putting in something this many years ago, in 1997 and seeing like, look at them. Like, look at how great they are. Look at how great Owen was and Austin and even Vince, like, just ridiculousness, like his over the top. And you admire all of this, like what's brewing right here. And when we get into the next match too, it continues and you're just like, how smart was all this? Like, this is just, you felt the magic back here. Like I remember as a fan understanding that they were on the balls of their ass, but then watching these magical moments and going like, oh, it's like some spark is there. Something's here. And it's really cool.
Well, this next match had me on the balls of my ass, whatever that means. You need to get your ass checked there, buddy. We got
there's something going on.
Fatal 4-way match for the tag team titles that have just been vacated. We got the Godwins versus the Legion of Doom versus the Hart Foundation, the team of Owen Hart and British Bulldog, and the team replacing Steve Austin and Dude Love. We got the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. Man, oh man. My first note here, it's refreshing to just see like 4 teams. Like, they're clearly like, they're teams. Like, these two wear overalls. These two have skirts. These two they have spikes. It's like they feel like teams. The aesthetic, it looked like it was going to be a good match, but I don't know if the finish made up for it. But man, I'll tell you what, I fell asleep during this match twice. First time I watched the show, I made it up to this point, fell asleep. All right, I'll finish it tomorrow night. Turn it on, fell asleep immediately. I could not get through. It took me forever to get through this match. It was another kind of just clunky. I mean, you thought a 3-way was clunky. Add in another entity and then double it. And it was there's a lot going on here. What were your thoughts on this one?
I agree with you. Like, it was another one. It just didn't click, but it's really cool that you made that point because it makes the division feel bigger when you see them matching. WWF, WWE has gone through these periods where they'll just put like Big Show and Jericho together and call them Jericho. And then like, it's just because they're just like, well, we don't have tag teams, so we'll just put these two together. Rated RKO. There you go. And then, but I love tag teams. I love the tag team division. And to your point, you had tag teams. They matched. Even Owen and Davey in a weird way. Like they just, because they were family, like, and they just always got along.
They've been built to a point now where they're like, you associate them with each other. Yeah.
They felt like a tag team too. And and especially LOD, who was, of course, I mean, I'm going to say something so silly. They were insanely over. Like, everybody wanted them to win. I mean, I like obviously what happened at the end or whatever. And the Headbangers, I have to say, I was never a fan of them. I don't know why. I give them credit for some innovative stuff that they like to try, but more often than not, they clunked it. Like more often than not, it was like this, okay, he's the one of them has someone held and he's getting on the top rope, and that just fell apart. Like, and it just was really, that's what always they did for me. Like, and so, but I did like that we kind of got like a new championship air here, and it wasn't Owen and Davey that won the titles back. And, you know, I guess it would have been easy to put it on LOD because they were currently feuding with the Godwins. So that would have made sense as well.
Sure.
People did not like LOD getting DQ'd earlier. That was really, people were very upset about that. And I was kind of like, well, that's kind of ridiculous. However, the ending totally made up for it with Austin coming down, which again, I don't remember if I saw that coming, which how could I not see that coming? Like, but just having him out for the second time. And then
I didn't see it coming.
You notice like the pop on this one was mega. Like, I mean, it was like, we just saw him in the segment before and the crowd still got just Austin.
I think that was for the headbangers. I think they were on their feet for Thrasher. Personally.
Yeah, mainly, particularly Thrasher. But yeah, when he came out there and then hit Owen with that, I mean, that place, that was a star pop. And I was like, man, like, and then it continued on with, it reminded me of when Austin came out there and helped Foley win the title. It was like the pop was massive for Austin helping out. And then when Foley got the 3, it somehow got even bigger because, yeah, we wanted that guy to win. I think the crowd, they always pop at title changes. And then also like Headbangers people started to like the Headbangers back here, to their credit. Like people were like, they're different and they're just kind of a different look, a different tag team that you don't see. So how can you forget the Headbangers? I don't know if like all of their friends wear the same thing that they wear. So maybe if you went to a party with the Headbangers, you could not pick them out of a lineup, but here you knew who the Headbangers were. And so, yeah, it was awesome. Like Austin coming in, hitting Owen, setting him up, letting you know that he is coming back. Like, and they're going to have a rematch at Survivor Series for the IC title. But yeah, it was really cool to see the ending. But to your point, like it was very clunky. I keep using that word, I know. And it was just sort of like, again, the stipulation sort of outweighed the talent. They didn't really know what to do. And so they just, when you don't know what to do, you just kind of do your same bland stuff. And there's, if you're not going to play on the rules and kind of make that like a big part of the match, then what's the point? It was just 2 separate tag matches going on at the same time, really.
Yeah, the first big chunk of this just felt like a series of singles matches. It was like, we'll punch each other a little bit, then I'll tag somebody random in. It just kind of felt like that for a very long time. Animal, like you mentioned, at some point goes berserk on the Godwins with their slop bucket. Him and Hawk beat up on the Godwins with the bucket, and they
just
get
had
feud.
Enough.
I guess that's enough is enough, and
that's
it's time for a change. They're not nuggets, but the LOT gets eliminated first. To your point, crowd is not happy. Then after that, I think it's Thrasher with a sunset flip to Henry O. Godwin eliminates the Godwins, which the final 2 teams are Owen and Bulldog versus the Headbangers. And then Owen is setting up a sharpshooter on Mosh. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out. Stone Cold Stunner to Owen behind the ref's back. Mosh pins for the win. And I just love, because like you mentioned, Austin comes out, huge pop. I mean, it is a stone cold pop.
Yeah.
Like it used to be a Road Warrior pop. Now it is a stone cold pop. And the way just there was no kick to the gut. It was almost RKO-esque. The way he hit the stunner, just snapped it off. Looked really good. And you brought up a point, like a lot of people probably didn't know if he was going to come back, but him getting physical like this, that probably adds to the reaction. It's like, oh, he is getting physical. Oh, he is going to come back. So that on top of him just, being over and people liking to see him and, getting one over on Owen, who broke his neck.
I was going to say, it obviously is the big fuel. They wanted to see him get at Owen. And, it was like, when you see kind of what he was doing with the announcers, you're like, okay, well, maybe he's just going to kind of, do that for a bit. And then he did both. He's like, no, I'm doing both. I'm going to stun announcers and I'm going after Owen, which is awesome. So yeah, they really were on fire here with Austin. It was really something to see, like that weird moment when you just kind of see the crowd swell like that. That is just the epitome of being over. And like, they have something, and like credit to Vince and them too, for just, I mean, they kind of had to pause because, like we were talking about earlier, because of his injury, they couldn't just give him a bunch of matches, which maybe would have watered it down, if they rematched too soon or something like that. If Austin never got hurt or didn't get as seriously hurt in the show, maybe they would have blown it off too soon or something like that. So I'm kind of glad, like, we got these segments where he's like this sniper just coming out, hitting his target, getting out of there and flipping people off and just getting people excited, so that's a Saturday night for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, to your point from earlier, like him not being able to wrestle matches forces them to get creative, forces them to think out of the box. And you finish Raw and the Stone Cold segment, whatever happened, is not going to be like any other segment. So you're going to like leave thinking about that segment, which just continues his rise and ultimately probably made him more popular than he would have been otherwise. I, of course, would have loved to see him have a longer career, but double-edged sword. Double-edged sword. But
you got to take the good with the bad, I guess. He did all right, I have a feeling.
I think so. I think he's fine. But it is funny, like, because Austin, obviously, the crowd swells because Austin comes out, but it almost like the Headbangers get the win. The crowd erupts for their win, but it's because Stone Cold caused it. But from the outside looking in, it's like the crowd is just going berserk for the Headbangers.
Yeah. Do you think Mosh and Thrasher did that? Like when they got a tape finally, they just cut Austin out and then just kept playing the pop like over and over.
They go in the crowd are like, yeah, well, they're all cheering for us. Yeah. Like, are we though?
That's right. They did the segment where they were like in the crowd later, and I was just like, you sure that this is why? Like
Headbangers, Headbangers, everybody headbangers. No, it's whatever. But they're fine. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so new champions, Headbangers, and we'll see what comes of that. It cuts back to JR icing his neck with Commissioner Slaughter, and JR is all pissed. I can't really remember exactly what he said.
He was exactly how he probably is in real life. He's just like, and I'm sick of it, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And I'm not like he's going to do something, like he's going to go knock on Austin's door. Get out here, you, me in the parking lot. Like it's not going to work out, JR.
I didn't come here to get my ass whipped. You know, and they're bleeping all of his words. Like JR is a spicy one. He's on one today. He means business. Fuck off, JR. But man,
like, what are you gonna do?
Man.
You know, that would be so funny if the announcer's like, "What are you gonna do? Shut up, JR." He's like, "All right, I'm just upset a little bit. If that happened to you, you'd be mad too."
Well, that leads us into the WWF title match, not the main event, but we got the WWF title on the line. We got Bret Hart defending against the Patriot. L. Wilkes. WWF title match.
Are you speaking of the same Patriot where during the middle of the match, the owner of the company goes, "We don't really know too much about this guy." And I was like, amen. Like when he said that, I was like, do you have to say that like right in the middle of your own show, Vince?
I mean, like, so he pinned Bret Hart. So I guess that's why he has this match.
Yeah.
But it's kind of skips to the end here. But when, Bret's beating on Patriot, he breaks the American flag. He's choking him with it. Lawler has a line here. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, Bret Hart, he sees these fans. When he's choking out the Patriot, that's him doing it to the fans. That's ultimately like what this match is. It's not Bret versus Del Wilkes. It's Bret versus the United States wrestling fans, which the Patriot was just a representation of that.
Yeah.
First of all, you could have put anybody under the Patriot mask. Like anybody. I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on like who else it could have been, but I think unless, I don't know. Is there anybody that comes to mind that they could have thrown under this mask to make it maybe have more of a shelf life?
So, Mike, I mean, they could have interchanged it at any time, and I would have thought it was fantastic. However, if 1 week they come out as Southpaw, which Del was, and then the next week he would come out like working right-handed, I think that would be fantastic.
Ambidextrous, ambidextrous Patriot.
It's almost like, the way the Killer Bees used to put masks on and kind of like trick you like that, but to have like somebody, well, they're kind of doing it now with on WWE with Chad Gable and like they're sort of doing it now, but like I think it would have been funny back here too to put more into that character. It's just really funny. Vince always fell for that. Vince is just like, you put the good old red, white, and blue out there, and I'm sorry for crying, but this is gonna like the Vince is always like that. And to your point, it was Bret versus us. That's really what the feud was about, and the whole Heel Heart Foundation. And to your question about that, I don't know why. Like when you asked me this, because you did not to give away the stuff behind the scenes, but you messaged me earlier.
This is all a script, by the way.
I'm going outside the script, just like the NWO. I laughed going like, Vader should have done it. And I just imagine Vader in the Patriot, like just the same legging tights with his big belly. But then also Vader would also like, he went through this phase where like 30 seconds into the match, Vader would always rip his own mask off because he just got annoyed with it. So if he comes down on the Patriot mask, but as soon as somebody hits him in the face, he's like, God, it just throws the Patriot mask off, but he's in those tights. And that is
it's
my
choice.
It's
the same like shape of the mask where it like barely covers his face. It just happens to be red, white, and blue.
He just cakes it off. He's all irritated like
it's time. It's Patriot time.
I pledge allegiance to the pain. Like, and he's just got this whole gimmick down. And we're like, this is Vader. We know it's Vader. And that would be also, we would all, they're talking about Brian Christopher and Jerry Lawler would be every week like, we know that's Vader. We know it is. I don't know who Vader is. It's American time. They're like, you're doing the thing. He's like, huh? Like, it just, yeah, it'd be great.
Man, but that's better than anything I had. Yeah.
But Dell, what were your suggestions of somebody?
So my only two, Brockus came to mind just because they've been doing vignettes on him. And it's like, what else is he doing? I know he's like German or whatever the fuck, but it could have been like an El Grande Americano situation where it's like, oh yeah, he's American. Not really.
Yeah. That'd be funny too. God, that would be so funny. We have a clear accent under the mask. Man, that's so.
I am the Patriot.
He's like, oh my gosh, just all this meat he left on the bone, Vince.
A lot of meat, and the only other one I could think of, I don't know where he is at this time. I know he's about to be with the company. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, I think could have made a great Patriot. Ultimately, they didn't really do much with him just as Steve Williams. Yeah. But maybe the Patriot was just not meant to last long, so maybe you didn't need anybody particularly great. So
that's actually that's a solid choice, Dr. Death. And you could do one of the others because Vince was always like that as well. A lot of wrestlers did that. Like they would go to other territories, and if they weren't going to, like Terry Bam Bam Gordy was the executioner. And, they didn't want to announce him as Terry Gordy and do that. So maybe if Dr. Death didn't know how this is going to work out, he comes in, like maybe you reveal himself later as being Dr. Death or whatever, but to feel the temperature, that actually is a pretty smart choice. I can't believe I'm just not bringing this up till now. I still am not used to anybody else coming out to Kurt Angle's music. It's so weird to hear that.
Always jarring.
Yeah.
It's jarring. It's like, what? Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle? Hell yeah, sign me up. And it's just dumb Del Wilkes coming out with his flag.
And nobody chants you sucks, which is super odd to not hear with that music. Like, so when I hear that,
Del Wilkes doesn't suck.
Yeah, he's obviously the Patriot, and he's fantastic.
His South Carolina accent, his temperament, his cadence fits the gimmick perfectly. I think. I mean, his physique. I will say maybe could have been the perfect choice for the Patriot. I'm for freedom. I'm fighting for America. Like he's like what you picture, like a caricature, like American wrestler. Like that's him.
Like almost like a young, like someone who just got out of the service, like a young soldier. So like, and I'll tell you what, ma'am, if Bret Hart gets in my face again, he'll find out what America's about. It's like, but he believed it. Yeah. And I love the vignette before too. I thought he was Batman because they just kept trying to show him like from here down on the vignette. And I'm like, just show his face.
Yeah. Unmasked.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't just throw the mask on him, like wear a polo and a mask or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the first, like just wear his mask outside to protect his identity. But like, yeah, because I am America. It doesn't matter who I am individually. Together, we are America. And the whole crowd knows to chant America. Like we're writing this way better than they ever could back here.
They should run it back. I think. I mean, they can't do it with Del Wilkes, but they can run back. With some others. But yeah, Bret versus Patriot. Honestly, the match better than I expected. I will say. It was a little slow and plodding in the beginning. I think it ramped up at the end. The fucking Jerry Lawler, if he hits him with that Uncle Slam or the Patriot Missile, I don't know, I'm giving him Del Wilkes' voice. If he hits him with the Uncle Slam or Patriot Missile, like he keeps reminding us of his dumb finishing move names. Because that's all they know about him.
Well, because even Vince himself said like we don't know who this guy is at all. Like, and even Vince is like, he came in wearing the mask and I signed him. I don't even know who he is in real life. Like
nobody's checked his credentials. He doesn't have his tax return. Like he's just a guy. He happened to show up in an American.
He didn't have an ID or
mask.
Social, which is super suspect from a Patriot. But anyway, but that full Nelson slam that he did, I always cringe when Bret took it. Because a lot of people would take it like when they would just take it with both their feet kicked out. But Bret always kind of left 1 foot downish. And when Bret would take that back bump, like the mat wouldn't give and Bret's body would just bounce. And I'm like, God, Bret, like that's got to not feel well. And he took 2 of them, I think, in this match. Like, and I was like, dude, that does not look like a good landing.
2 Uncle Slams and a Patriot Missile. How did he survive? That's my question.
Well, according to Lawler, like he should be dead. And also, so was this okay? I know it was for the title. But was there no DQ stipulation again this match or whatever? Because they just they got willy-nilly. And again, this might be the ECW influence. Again, like in the main event, they got really willy-nilly, if you catch my drift. I don't know what I'm saying. But right here, like there was some interference. And I was like, I mean, like ref, like he broke up the count right in front of you. Like Bulldog came down and pulled him straight off, like Bret. And the ref looked at him. He's like, come on, Davey. Like, that's really all he said. He was like, oh, shucks, man. Like, I'm just trying to do my job here.
Referee's discretion, man. Referee's discretion.
I'm glad they kept the ball in. You know, I'm glad he kept it going. But at the same time, I was just like, oh, like I was a little jarring, like for me to see. I was like, he didn't care. Then I was like, did I miss the no DQ stipulation or something in the beginning? But I guess not.
To my knowledge, this was not a no DQ match, but I guess with the world title on the line, maybe there's a little bit more leeway. I don't know. Because there's a lot. I mean, because so Patriot, Schoolboy, a close 2 count, hits the Uncle Slam, 1, 2, Bulldog pulls him out. To your point, right in front of the ref, and the ref's like, "Come on, man."
The ref was mildly bothered. Like his face was just like, jeez. Like that's really all.
Maybe
it was.
he didn't actually see it. Maybe he just saw Patriot slide out.
Oh, that could be. And he was like, "Why would Patriot?"
He's
like, "Why would Patriot break up his own count? What an idiot!" Like I'm just bashing the Patriot.
That's probably what he was thinking. Yeah, it's dumbass. So Patriot and Bulldog are kind of shoving each other. Then out comes Vader to make the save. So I guess that's why he wasn't the Patriot, is because he was helping the Patriot. And so Vader throws Bret Hart into the steel steps. And it's at this point, I was like, yeah, I guess it's no DQ. But I guess it's because Bulldog instigated it. So
yeah, I'm trying to give the ref the benefit of the doubt. I'm just trying to be like, what would be my thought process if I was a ref? He's like, well, like you did start this, Davey, so you should get your comeuppance a little bit. Okay, Brett's taking advantage of my goodwill and he's throwing people in the stairs. Please don't do that, sir. Like I'm going through all the ref like cadence in his head. He's like, okay, I've lost control. He just panics.
Yeah, potentially. But this gives the Patriot the advantage, hits the Patriot missile, which is a flying headbutt onto a standing opponent in the ring for a 2 count. So, I mean, the crowd's into this. He's hitting all of his big moves. Hits another Uncle Slam, but the ref had been elbowed at some point, so he's down. Ref recovers. 1, 2. Bret gets his foot on the ropes. And we got some good drama here in the ending stretch. We got Bret with a small package for a 2. Then Patriot counters into one of his own for a 2 count. And then Patriot locks in the sharpshooter. Oh, that dastardly Patriot. Bret, though, counters into one of his own, right in one fluid motion, gets up there, locks in his sharpshooter, Bret does. Patriot does not tap out, but I guess he verbally submits. I don't know. So Patriot submits. Bret Hart retains the title. And then Bret proceeds to put the boots to Patriot. Like I mentioned, takes his American flag that he brought out there, snaps it in half, then uses the flag to choke out the Patriot. I mean, just great heat.
Such I just kept my note was just like, thank goodness for Bret. Like, because he he's so great. He really is. Like, even Bret never has a bad match, really. I mean, I think the only bad match that I could be like, I'm not watching that again, was Bret and Backlund from WrestleMania 11. That might be the one I won't do. But
what do you say?
Come on, man. And he's just right in his face. And Backlund's like, I'm not going to say yes. I'm just going to gurgle and fart.
Terrible.
But yeah, Bret is so great. He really is. And he really believed this gimmick. You know, part of Bret's issue in the back was like, wrestling is passing me by as far as like the fans are concerned. I don't know why they cheer for smut and all of this stuff. So it was like kind of awesome that he had sort of this outlet. And I think it's underappreciated, like the Bret heel gimmick. I think that like a lot of people don't talk about it enough because unfortunately like 2 months later or whatever, or 3 months later, it's by, and it was just did not end well. But at the same time, like, man, like I always like, just am so dumbfounded back here. Like that Vince from the beginning, it was so obvious. He was like, if I have to pick between the two, Shawn's my guy. And it always was like that all the time. And Bret could just never do anything right. It's weird. It's so weird. I love Shawn was great too. Don't get me wrong, but Bret is he was so on fire with this heel here. And it would make sense to me, like to parlay right into Bret versus Austin again. Because he's feuding with Owen right now. And then when he comes back, it was a ready-made feud.
Probably where they were going.
Yeah, we would think that WrestleMania 14 more than likely would have been Bret versus Austin and Austin finally beating Bret. That would have been amazing. Like, that would have been awesome. But at the same time, like, I just don't, it's always been Shawn for Vince. Always. And it's crazy. It's just really, really weird the way this all fell apart.
The most flamboyant, the most charismatic. And Bret had none of that, I guess, in Vince's eyes.
And I guess, this gimmick, I would say, is the most charismatic Bret ever was, because he believed in it. And so
for sure,
that iconic look when he basically gaslighted Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart to forming the Hart Foundation when they were hugging, that look on Bret, that scowl on his face, like, is etched in my memory. It's one of the things that I think we did an episode of my podcast about it, was like memories that are burned in your mind. And that one, I was like, his scowl whenever he reformed the Hart Foundation and Davey and Owen were crying and like he hugged them, like that scowl that he gave the hard camera was just genius. And I was like, man, he's not given enough credit, Brett, for this heel run, because he did not care. Like his just bashing America every chance he got. And it was in his heart. I hate to say it. He was just like, I hate this place sometimes.
Well, yeah, it was just so organic. I mean, because there wasn't like a turn. Like it wasn't like a steel chair to the back of somebody. It was just like over time, the crowd like started booing him, and he kind of just like eventually leaned into the nationalism stuff, and then it culminated into Austin Brett at WrestleMania, and that's where kind of the turn happens. It just all felt organic. To your point, it felt you believed it, and I feel like that's why it was so effective.
Yeah.
So, but that gets us to the main event of Ground Zero. We got The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Allegedly their first match against each other, at least televised, which I guess is right.
I didn't dispute it like when they did it, even though I should dispute WWE historic logic sometimes because Andre was never slammed ever. But at the same time, I think that is correct. And I couldn't think of a time where Shawn would have faced him when he was like the dead man gimmick. I don't believe that ever.
Unless there was like a squash match against Rocker Shawn Michaels or something. But but pretty interesting. I didn't realize they didn't touch until this point, but they made the most of it. A lot of underlying stories here. We got Kane waiting in the wings. We got Paul Bearer. He's told Undertaker that his brother is alive. Kane is alive. We're very close to his debut. We got Shawn Michaels, who is kind of going under a character change at this point. He's leaning into his, talk about actual personality, his kind of cocky, annoying attitude. He's leaning into that. We just saw within the past few weeks the re-debut of Rick Rude. We've seen Shawn Michaels and Triple H team for the first time. So they have not called it DX yet, but that we're in the early stages of that forming. Obviously, we see a lot of, putting it mildly, we see a lot of run-ins in this match. So a lot of underlying things, and obviously the SummerSlam match where Shawn cost Undertaker the match by accident, but still got to pay
one
for
of
that.
My favorite, one of my favorite ending sequences ever was that.
Oh yeah,
just the bungling of the chair shot by Shawn and Brett spitting right in his face and just clocking the Undertaker. But every count that Michaels made, he just looks at Brett like, I can't believe you're making me like pin the Undertaker's shoulders, like, and set this feud up perfectly. It's just one of my favorite memories as well. Another core memory where I'm like, that ending sequence was just fire. Like, and they both hated each other, and you could see it in Brett and Shawn's eyes. Like they just did not, it was all just heat filled. And to your point about Michaels, like the 92-93 heel of Shawn Michaels was like, he was playing this, what he thought was like a cocky character, and smacking his gum, flicking his hair, and doing all that. This was Shawn Michaels, like with dead serious intent to make you angry. Like he wanted you to come over the rail, because to your point, it's kind of who he was, and he wanted to annoy people and to say what he felt. And you're not going to put me in my place.
Pantomiming the ball,
doing everything. They were, and Hall and Nash have backed it up before they even left the promotion. They were trying to tell Vince that you need to push the envelope back. And to Shawn and Hunter's point, they were right. Like, and even Russo, I hate to say that, but at this time, they needed something different to compete with WCW because it wasn't working anything. But this stuff just stuck in your memory with Shawn doing those gestures and stuff in the cucumber down his tights and everything, like, was just sort of like, it was just so like, oh my gosh, like it's probably things that we did with our friends to make each other laugh, like, oh, look at this or whatever. And now you have these people on television doing it. And so of course you're going to get people riled up in a good and bad way at the same time. And Shawn was just oozing like confidence in his character here. And this is who he wanted to be. And I mean, his performance, we can get into that too. He's just amazing. Like his selling ability and it's so rare for a smaller heel to get. I mean, Undertaker will destroy him and he just takes all of the stuff, but Shawn keeps bouncing back. And even as a heel, he doesn't take the thunder away from the Undertaker. He'll still mount a comeback a little bit when it's appropriate, but then Taker will just smash him. And Shawn's bumping ability is, oh my gosh, like inside, outside, like the spot that he did where he got knocked off the apron and turned around and hit the guardrail over the announce table. Like that was just amazing. It was like poetry. It's like he flowed like water. There was nothing the guy couldn't do. And it's just an Undertaker. They just meshed. It's like you talk about chemistry. I don't think they ever had a bad match, like really. And if I had to rank their matches, well, I'm not talking about the tag match in Saudi, but I mean like their singles matches. This might be I don't want to use this word, the last ranked one, but not because it was a bad match by any stretch.
Sure.
But you have the Hell in the Cell, you have the Rumble casket match, you have the 2 WrestleMania matches. So it's like this. They set the bar here, and like they just leaped over it like every time that they face each other. And yeah, it was chaotic to your point too. There was a ton of rundowns here. And China, if you didn't live through this era, China's aura like was just this heat you felt the place rumble, or heard like the murmuring of the crowd whenever she would look like she was going to take a shot at the Undertaker. And to your point, like they hadn't formed DX yet, but it was like these ingredients were just blending together so well, and it was just something was there. This is just far enough away where like it wasn't quite there yet, but like this product was clicking. You have Austin on one side, and then you have like the DX crew here, just making it feel fantastic, like just making it go like, okay, this is going to be their voice going forward, this company.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's very like, I mean, watching WCW and WWF in real time again, it's so funny how just like directly influenced WWF is from Nitro. Like they're forming their own mini NWO here.
Yeah,
with Triple H and Shawn. I mean, that's their Hall and Nash, and just the mannerisms. Obviously, they're all friends, so there's similar mannerisms. But it's very interesting. By the way, this is the famous. It's like a famous GIF now of Shawn doing the pose in the ring, and the pyro doesn't go off.
Oh yeah,
right away.
Like
he's like, oh yeah.
I'm not saying he didn't have, but this character, like this form of Shawn Michaels made sense to mock it. You know, whereas like before, when he was like a face in '96 and he would mock stuff, you'd be like, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be a baby face. Or you know, he'll kick Vader in the face and scream "move." Like, you know, like as a baby face, like this is who Shawn wanted to be, I guess, to sum it up like that. This is just really who he wanted to be. So it made sense that he was all, like with the fireworks and everything, because he's just annoyed by everything. Like everything annoys him. And like, it was him and Hunter here in China. Like it was their attitude or the highway. Like they were just oozing it. It's great.
No, it was really good stuff. And it made the crowd really, happy to see him get his ass kicked. I mean, Shawn was bumping his ass off to your point, over the announce tables, into the barricades. They fight to the In Your House set, and Shawn's trying to go through the front door to escape, but I don't think it's a real door, to my knowledge. And then Taker like hits one punch on the top of the stage, and Shawn just like tumbles all the way down the ramp to the ring. Just really great stuff here.
That's when I know, sorry to interrupt, but like when, you know, when he's famous for overselling against Hulk in 2005, you know, in my mind, I'm like, no, this was peak Shawn. Like, I mean, he was doing it to be obnoxious, I'm sure, but I was like, this is peak Shawn. If you watch Shawn in 97, well, not so much 98, but 97 especially, like Shawn was just that animated. And like you said, one punch and he's like, oh, don't worry, Taker, I'll take care of this, and like all the way down. And like, it just, that's who he was. And so whenever people are like, man, he oversold, I'm like, did he though? Because Shawn was always pretty much like on point, like with that stuff. Yeah, that was his thing.
It's very on brand. By the way, and they're going through all the refs that they have. Every single ref we're going to utilize in this main event, because I forgot to mention in the beginning, because Shawn is like hiding behind the ref because he doesn't want to fight Taker. Then he ends up throwing the ref at Taker, and then Taker just grabs the ref and punches him in the face. Yeah. Like, for what reason? First of all, very rude, Mr. Taker.
The refs are just all night. They've been trying to just hold order in this place, and like people are just punching them, or
they've had enough.
Yeah, Bulldog's just breaking up pins, and the refs like, come on, you're not even trying to hide it. But yeah, I laughed really hard too with all the refs just going down. I just thought it was hilarious, because then I started just belly laughing at anticipating the next blow that was going to knock the next ref out. You know, and poor Hebner, like it's just like limping all over the place. Like I'm just trying to make a 3 count. Like that's all I kept thinking he was thinking like the entire match. I just want to do my job, guys. Like it just keeps getting hit.
Yeah, Hebner, at some point, a chair gets brought into it, which is like the source of this feud. The chair shot at SummerSlam, and then Shawn with another chair beatdown on Raw. So that's like the key element here. At some point in the match, Shawn grabs the chair, swings it at Taker, but Taker blocks it with a big boot. And then Taker grabs the chair, goes to swing it at Shawn, but the ref takes it out of his hands. And then Shawn drop kicks Undertaker into the ref, which I think is Hebner at this point. So this ref's out.
Yeah.
And And then Rick Rude comes out, hands Sean some brass knuckles. Sean smashes Taker with them. A new ref comes out. Only a 2 count, so Sean takes this ref and knocks him out. Count faster! And then Triple H comes out with China, rams Undertaker into the steel steps. Them and Sean, they triple team Taker for a bit. Taker fights back. It's a weird moment where Sean, he hit him with the knucks earlier, puts it in his tights. Undertaker lays Sean on the top rope.
Like displays him. He's on.
Opens up his tights. Let me reach in there. Bang, bang, boom. Which, is that how you had to do it? I mean, I don't know.
And then when he uses it too, then he just goes hula boop and puts him down his pants too. So everybody has probably had those knucks down their pants at some point.
Is that docking? I think that's what docking is.
Is it? Yeah. Is that a wrestling thing or something? I just know what docking is.
I don't know. I'll have to look at.
I'll have to look at my dictionary out.
Nah, I wouldn't. By the way, Vince, I don't know if he was joking here, but Taker pulls the knucks out of Sean's tights, and Vince is like, "Oh, I think he pulled his belly button ring out."
Yeah, that was weird. I remember that too. Going, okay, that's what we're going with?
I don't think so. I don't think you know how belly button rings work there, Vince.
Vince just naming stuff. He has no idea how it works.
It doesn't see what's going on, just guesses. I don't think so. But Taker smashes Sean with these brass knucks, only for a 2 count. Can't keep track of how many refs are knocked out at this point. Oh, Hebner gets chokeslammed after that, because fuck him, I guess. And then Tim White comes out, walks over a pile of referees, and rings the bell. Throws this match out, which about time, I say. I mean, I don't know. It's a DQ finish. Obviously, we're building to Bad Blood, 1997. We see all this interference and all of this tomfoolery. If only there was some sort of structure with a roof on it
to keep these guys inside.
Maybe they'll figure it out.
And the weakest door hinges on the planet. It's Hell in the Cell.
Kane is just super powered. He's very strong. You need to understand. You saw at least one of his arms is strong.
Yes. Yeah.
One that we could see. But so it's I didn't mind the finish. I liked the chaos at the end of the show. I thought worked for me. It was a fun enough match in itself. It's not like there was any stakes really involved in it. It was just 2 of their megastars fighting each other. So I thought it worked for what it was. Then they continue to fight. Sweet chin music to Undertaker. Taker's tied up in the ropes. There's chairs involved. Undertaker fights back. Big boots. Chaos. Locker room empties.
It's my favorite part.
Everybody from the Nation to DOA to Rocky Maivia to whoever. And there was a certain guy in a tracksuit that comes out.
This is my favorite part. Go on, because this is just
no, please, you.
This is my favorite because I belly laughed like when I saw it, and I belly laughed the whole time they were coming out because I was just like, this is a note. Someone had to give them this note, whether it was Vince or someone else, going like, we want you to look casual. Like you're just chilling out after a match or whatever. But all of you wrestlers that wear face paint, you keep the face paint on. And then Sultan, you keep your mask on. And he came out in a tracksuit with like shorts. And he just gets in there and I'm belly laughing because he's got a Sultan mask on. And I am crying. Like I'm laughing so hard because he gets in there all just like trying to hold Taker back or whatever. And they're all in Hawk and Animal are in like the big pants and like all of them have to have no shirts on, by the way, except for The Rock, who almost looked like a referee, like a casual referee, because he had like this polo shirt on with black and white stripes and he tucked his pants into his khaki shorts. And I just that is so Rock. Like that is just so the way he looks and everything. He had like loafers on and everything. And everybody just came out like completely like, we're casual, but we're not so casual that we're not in character. Like, and I just thought that was a great look. Like to end all this chaos, you have like a mixed mesh of wrestlers, just we cannot wear tights. We have got to come out in our casual wear. It has to be.
That's who they are. Is the implication that like the Sultan, like if he goes to the grocery store, he's like still wearing his mask?
Yes,
with
jeans? Like has to. And Hawk and Animal have their face paint on. What? It's normal. Like I think it's hilarious that all wrestlers do that. Like we've never seen Hawk without his face paint before. He's got it rubbed off during matches, and like it would expose Hawk and Animal if they came out in their Bugle Boy pants and like their face paint was gone. We wouldn't be like, oh, the magic's gone. Like the whole point was a pull apart. Right. But yeah, everybody's just coming out like. These are my casuals.
Make a difference. Fatu's returned, I guess, if he didn't wear the mask.
Oh my gosh, that's right. He had the Make a Difference outfit on. It's probably
it might have been the same. I have to watch it back. It might have had make a difference Fatu on the
because he
back
probably
of his
tried to
jacket.
walk out in the Sultan stuff, and Vince is like, "Where do you think you're going? I told you casual, but not out of character." He's like, "I only have this left," and he's like, "Put it on." Like, and he made him put on the.
Did he have the curly shoes though with this tracksuit?
I can't believe I can't answer that question because I did not.
We'll have to revisit the tape.
If he did, I think that is probably that puts on a different level.
Yeah, I think that's fair game, and if that's the case, but
yeah, they said this was good chaos, and they definitely set it up for an even better match like the next month, and a legendary match that people still talk about to this day, and just the stuff they did there was amazing.
The first and maybe the best Hell in a Cell match after this. So
I would not dispute that at all. The two best people probably to put in that position too, especially Sean with the bumps and what he's capable of doing, and the chemistry that obviously they displayed with each other here. But the best two people to put in there, and then the legendary tie-in of the Kane storyline. You just can't forget it. It's just etched. Another moment that everybody remembers.
For sure. I wish Undertaker had spent more time facing smaller guys. It felt like he was always facing monsters, like lumbering giants, whereas matches with Shawn, and even the few matches he's had with Rey Mysterio, and he had some matches with a Hakushi back in it. That always seems like where he thrived in the ring, but he just never felt like he was put in that position.
And I think Hulk ruined that because that was Vince and Hulk's formula for so long. Hulk just had, when you're a dead man, you kind of can't have the charisma that Hogan does to, reach out to the crowd when he's getting beat up to try to get the sympathy. And I just never, I totally agree with you because as the dead man, in 91, 92, I was not one of those people that was really, really into The Undertaker. I hated it. And I was just more of God, it's just the same. It's one dimension. It's the same thing. But then when he was able to start wrestling Brett and Vince, you kind of could tell, let the cuffs on him. Like you said, he was more of a human Undertaker, during this time. Then he was able to get in there and actually show that he could work. And yeah, absolutely. You're right. Shawn and Brett and Rey Mysterio and everyone later, even Kurt Angle was awesome. The chemistry that they all had was, you could tell Taker just loved it. He liked to actually work. And not be this typical classic big man where he's just plodding, clubs to the back, boots, and then the signature moves. Taker wanted more. To his credit, he wanted to perform better, and he could, and he's proven it over and over again. But yeah, I agree with you. And look at their just the history between him and Shawn. Every match is more than watchable. It should be studied.
Right.
Some of these matches,
especially the Saudi match.
Well, yeah, that's the crown jewel, pun intended, of that as well.
Well, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. It was a super showdown, some may say. Well, I'll tell you what the crown jewel of podcast is. It's Our Wrestling Podcast.
Oh, thank you.
OWP. Appreciate you, Jess, coming on here.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I was really looking forward to it.
It was a great time. Where can everybody find you, your lovely, lovely podcast, listen to you, watch you, taste you, all that stuff?
We are on, and I love all of the above, and I would like all of that, please.
In that order.
We are on every major platform. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. At OWP 2019 is, for the most part, our handle on Instagram. We're Our Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. Yes, we're still on Facebook. And we are at OWP 2019 on X as well. So, yeah, look us up, guys. I really appreciate you having me on here too, and I've been watching your stuff for a bit, and I love your reviews especially, and I love the quick stuff, the funny stuff that you do as well. But I like wrestling fans that can kind of laugh, at wrestling as well. We're obviously older, we have lives, we have full-time jobs, at least we should. Mm-hmm. And we're watching this silliness. These are our soaps, right? These are our stories, and,
yes.
It's just to me, I love hanging out with other wrestling fans, who can laugh at it as well, or be like, yeah, that was the shits. That wasn't very good. But that's what we're here for. It's some other wrestling fans I've come across, they're very serious about it. And if you dare say anything about the flaw, they just get a little uptight. And I'm like, this is fun. This is what we should be laughing at this. And when the moments are magic, they're absolute magic. Austin in the show, Shawn Michaels in the show, Undertaker in the show, they're magic. But when they're just ridiculous, it's just say it's ridiculous. It's fine. It's all going to be fine.
We got a 4-foot bull facing a 3-foot superhero. That's what wrestling is. It's people play fighting in their underwear with a lot of baby oil in the case of Scott Putski. So
yes.
I meant to check. What is Scott Putski? Is he still alive? Before we sign off here,
can I? Okay, without knowing, I'm gonna say no, and I don't know why I know that, but let me know.
So he is alive.
Oh, I'm bummed that
old.
somebody is still alive. I'm like, damn it.
Oh, I got to go change that. So after this, so he got injured. He left the company shortly after, went to WCW in 98.
Wow. Maybe I do remember him there somehow.
It doesn't seem like he seemed like maybe he was like a enhancement guy.
And he had a prosthetic leg.
Maybe he lost his leg as a result.
Lost his
of
leg.
this. It doesn't really seem like he really did much after this. He retired. His retirement was from 2001 to 2005. I don't know what that means. Just make a decision for the love of God, Scott Putski.
Just retire or not. And it's his whole big flaw was the Polish hammer was not his finishing move. I think that's where he went wrong.
What? This is how we'll sign off. What should have Scott Putski's finishing move been?
Whew. I'm trying to think of some cute little quip off the Polish hammer, and I'm drawing a blank right now.
You got this. The Polish hammer. What other tools are there? Wrench, measuring tape, T-square, leg.
T-square.
It's gotta be a leg. The T-square.
Yes, I was gonna say the T-square.
Fuck it. It's just the Uncle Slam. Just take it from Patriot.
Yeah, just steal it from Patriot. He's fine. Like, it's fine. Just wear the mask, as a matter of fact. It would be a dead giveaway because he'd wear orange and brown and be super tan. So
you really don't like the orange and brown.
It's just really, it's a choice that you have to walk by the mirror, or as a rib, all the guys were just like, totally, you look wonderful. Like, you look awesome.
It feels like you should be wrestling barefoot if that's your choice.
It's Austin and you right there, buddy. You keep doing what you're doing. And he's like, thanks, guys.
Once again, thank you to my boy Jess for joining the program. Always a good time with Jess. I mean, it's the first time he was on, but still the case. It's always a fun time with Jess. Definitely would love to have him on at some point again. Go check out OWP, Our Wrestling Podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, all of the socials, all of the info is in the description. All of the stuff for me as well. If you want to give your boy a follow, like, rate, review. Hey, you know what we got to do? Hit that jingle, Bartholomew. WCW, ECW, WWF. Who's the hardest promotion? Eric or Vince or Paulie? I think we can agree, though. Heck, Myers is the shit. Alrighty then. The hardest promotion battle of 1997 continues. WWF versus WCW versus ECW. Which company is hardest at this point in time? As of September 7th. 1997. Currently, just a quick recap. We got WCW in the lead with 29 points, ECW in second with 25 points, and WWF pulling up the rear with 4 points. But let's see if we have any changes here. The first thing, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sharing my screen so you can follow along visually if you would like, but I'll also talk you through it if you're listening in audio land. But the first thing we got to do is grade this show from a scale of 0 to 100. So whichever company has the highest average pay-per-view / super show grade, they will get 15 points towards their overall score. Currently, ECW is in the lead here, just barely over WCW. But let's see if WWF can make some ground here. So 0 to 100 for WWF In Your House 17, Ground Zero. What are we thinking? 0 to 100. I'm not thinking anything particularly high, but I don't think anything crazy low either. Somewhere in the middle. My gut says maybe high 60s, perhaps. SummerSlam got a 9 or a 67. But just to kind of base, just to make sure we're on the same weight scale. You know what I'm saying? SummerSlam, we obviously had Brett versus Undertaker with Shawn as the ref in the main event. Steve and Owen, of course. Not a lot there. The steel cage match with Mankind and Triple H is dynamite in the beginning. I'm thinking this is not as good as SummerSlam. We've talked about it, like, you know, the implications coming out of this are significant, but as a show, just in a vacuum, I don't know if it was as good as SummerSlam. So SummerSlam got a 67. Canadian Stampede got a 65. I think it's pretty comparable with Canadian Stampede, if I'm being honest. Maybe slightly better. So between 65 and 67, you know what that means, kids. Sign of the devil. 66. 66 for Ground Zero. Let me just put that on my mouth and see how it tastes for a second. I think 66 is fair. Might be overshooting it a little bit. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 64. I think 66 is a little generous. 63. 63. We're finding it. Sometimes you can't find the hole right away. 63, I think, is a fair score for Ground Zero. You know what? 64. 64. I just thought about the minis match. I was like, you know what? This needs one more point. Yeah, 64. I think we're good there. So we'll refresh this. And WWF it didn't really affect much. WWF is still firmly in last in this category. So ECW still maintains those 15 points for having the highest average score for their pay-per-views, or in their case, pay-per-views / super shows. So ECW maintains those 15 points, so no changes there. So now we move on to best TV. Just in general, who has the best TV product? You got Raws, you got Nitros, you got Hardcore TV, you got a little Saturday Night, you got a little Shotgun Saturday, you got a little that. Overall, who's the best? WCW is who we're tracking as the top dog here, and I think that stays. ECW is in a weird period. They're like in the beginning stages of their pay-per-views, so a lot of their TV is like, I mean, it kind of always has been up to this point, but it's a lot of replays of their pay-per-views, so it's kind of hard to judge fairly. There are a lot of really good promos and stuff on ECW's TV, but I don't know if it's good enough to supersede Nitro. Nitro just feels like big things happen all the time on that show. It's a must-see program, which is why it was kicking WWF's ass at the time. It's interesting to watch it in real time, why WCW was winning the Monday Night Wars at this point in time, and Nitro was just a better show than Raw. Outside of Bret Hart and Stone Cold and Undertaker, like, not a lot happening on Raws. So they're trying stuff, but not a lot is landing. So we're gonna leave WCW as the best TV for now. Best in ring product. Bell to bell, who's giving us the best wrestling? We're tracking WCW. I am inclined to maintain that. And I've said it before, probably in like the last 12 of these that I've done. WCW, they just got so much variety, and the variety also has quality. Like the cruiserweights, you got your people from Mexico and Japan, your Rey Mysterios of the world. But then you also got like a good old fashioned like Jeff Jarrett, Chris Benoit match, and then you'll have like the spectacle of a Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger. You have the tag team stuff going on. I just think they got a lot of good stuff and a lot of different flavors of good stuff. Whereas WWF, you might get a really good match every now and then, but it just feels very far in between. And ECW is like, they're doing the ECW thing. Okay, I get it. But it's like the in-ring isn't where they're flourishing, I would say, at this point. So best in-ring, we'll leave it as WCW. Best out of ring. Best out of ring. So we're talking storylines, feuds, characters, what have you. We're tracking WCW as the best right now. I'll tell you what, I think we're going to leave it as WCW for now, because they got a lot. The Sting and Hogan stuff is cooking. We'll touch on it either next week or the week after with Fall Brawl 1997. The Horsemen and NWO stuff is really good. Even we got Eddie and Rey Mysterio building up to their classic match at Halloween Havoc. We got, just tons of really good stuff. Dean Malenko, Jeff Jarrett, all across the board. They got good stuff. It seems like everybody's got, they're doing something, whereas WWF, I think we're right on the precipice of a lot of great things for them. So we'll leave it as WCW for now, but we'll keep an eye on WWF. And I'm not as familiar how this year ends up for ECW, but they might got some stuff cooking for all I know. So WCW will maintain that for now. So as of right now, no changes to the scores, not yet. So now we move on to the best section. So these are all the best of 1997. Best match. Bret Hart versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. Yeah, nothing from this show that we just talked about was better than that. Nothing on Raw or anything. So, or Nitro or whatever. Yeah, nothing is better than Bret and Austin so far. So WWF keeps those 5 points. Wrestler of the Year, we're tracking Stone Cold. Now he's at a point where he's not wrestling, but he is still making his presence known, and he arguably had the biggest impact on this show and is not even cleared to compete. So I think that says a lot about the work that's been put into his character, the quality of his character, how believable he is. And I think the fact that he's pushing through this injury, it lends itself to You gotta give props to that. So Stone Cold, again, it's like is it Stone Cold, DDP you could throw up there. I think DDP is kind of an idol right now. This might be something we have to revisit when we get to the end of the year, when we have our finale. But as of right now, my heart says Stone Cold, Wrestler of the Year. Just between character and matches, I think he has the best catalog, at least over DDP. You could throw Taz in there too, but I think Stone Cold. But again, if there's things that I'm overlooking, if you disagree, leave a comment. Join the Discord. Let's talk about it. Hit me up on social media, what have you. I'm open. I'm all ears. All ears. So Stone Cold Wrestler of the Year. So WWF keeps those 5 points. Best character / storyline. We're tracking Taz from ECW. So this kind of encompasses just the Taz character in general. It's the no bullshit, the towel over his head. I don't care about this fucking WWF invasion of ECW. I'm just here to defend my title. This also, takes into account his feud with Sabu. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff from Taz. Storylines. So we got Shawn and Taker's pretty good. But I don't think we're at the climax yet. Taker and Kane is going to be something that we're going to have to confront at some point. That could be here. Stone Cold Brett, Stone Cold Owen. I'm just thinking out loud of things that could be potentially better character. I mean, Stone Cold could be the best character, but I'm not going to put him as the Wrestler of the Year and Character of the Year. I mean, I guess I could, but as of right now, I don't feel like I want to. You could put DDP here also. You could always put the NWO. I think we'll leave it as Taz. I as of right now, nothing has really swayed me otherwise. Nothing that's happened in between last time we talked about this and now, so we'll leave it as Taz for now. Best segment of the year. Jerry Lawler's debut at WrestlePalooza. Stone Cold giving JR the stunner was pretty sick. Pretty sick. I don't know if that's better than Jerry Lawler showing up at the ECW arena, though. Anything from Nitro, Sting, the mannequin Sting falling from the rafters, Hogan beating the shit out of J.J. Dillon, DDP and Lex Luger having a really awkward hug. I don't know. This might be something we have to revisit in the Fall Brawl episode, but as of right now, nothing's really coming to mind as anything better. So we'll leave it as ECW. So again, no changes yet, but let's move on to the worst section. Worst match of the year. Undertaker versus Sid, WrestleMania 13. I mean, he could throw like a Brian Christopher versus Scott Putski, but it wasn't significant enough, and it was an injury, so I'm not going to really throw it. That's not worst match of the year territory. Taker and Sid was the main event of WrestleMania, and it was just the shits. Anything worse? Anything? Small amount of peas. Yeah, no. I think Taker and Sid still takes the cake there. Worst wrestler of the year, Prince Iaukea. Just seeing his name makes me laugh. I don't know what it is. He's kind of, at this point in 97, he's kind of turned into a jobber, old job city. But man, that hideous TV title reign just pisses me off still. His no boots wearing ass. Get your fuck out of here, Prince. Yeah, I mean, who's worse? I'm all ears. I can't think of anybody that's worse. The Sultan, maybe? Crush? Savio Vega? I'm thinking. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at Prince Iaukea for now. So WCW maintains those -3 points. Worst character / storyline. We're tracking Honky Tonk Man, Billy Gunn, Jesse James. That whole brouhaha. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. I think we're rearing the finish of that though, if we haven't already concluded that. But man, it was bad. The Honky Tonk Man just dragged on forever. Who's my guy? It's gonna be my man, the new Honky Tonk Man, and it's fucking Rockabilly. Fuck out of here. Yeah, we'll leave it there. WWF keeps us -3 points. Worst segment of the year. Miss NWO from Sold Out 1997. Yeah. I will say, though, I have a thought in mind of something that happens on Raw in about a month or so. And you might be picking up what I'm putting down. That is bad. That is not good. Not good. Oosh. I'm not even gonna say what it is. I'm not even gonna say what it is. I'm gonna let you figure it out. Sound off in the comments if you think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Miss NWO, we'll keep it for now, but we'll see if it holds on. So with that being said, no changes to the scoreboard. No changes at all. WCW still in the lead with 29. ECW with 25, WWF with 4. But we got about a quarter to go here. Quarter to go in 1997. A lot of time. These big swings can happen very quickly. And we got a very, very explosive end to this year. So make sure you stay tuned to see if there's any changes in these next few shows that we cover. But with that, it's about all Daddy has for you guys today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Love you. Appreciate the support. Make sure you give a like, a rate, review, twiddle my nipples, call me Susan. Do all of those things as I bid you adieu. Mwah. I'm hard.
Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.